Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Dragonlance Compendium, offers 180 pages for players and DMs to bring the magical world of Krynn to life. And like many of our books, it's available in hardcover and digital format. Our Swarms of the Multiverse offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms, instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs alike. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take potions to the next level in your game. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. Before we talk about the new releases this week, let's talk about our exclusive discount. It's for the adventure Crimson Snow, and it's an adventure where you uncover the secrets that lie beneath the ice and stone. It's a best copper seller, and it's normally $4.99, but we're bringing it to you with our exclusive discount of 66% to just over $2 for an awesome adventure by Johnny Cordova. It's 15 pages, and it says, after a glowing meteor fell into the frozen tundra, a scout team was quickly assembled to learn from the cosmic stone. Weeks later, the adventurers are hired to aid the scouts because they've gone silent. The members of the outpost are very ill, and their leader has gone missing under the ice while investigating the meteor. Along with the ill scouts, an interesting family of 3 with long white hair and pale skin arrive to assist them. One of the members of this family is plagued by visions after coming into contact with the meteor, screaming throughout the night and day. With the leader of the outpost missing, the constant outcries of torment, and the looming threat of the meteor, the outpost is in need of aid. The adventurers will quickly discover that the outpost is beset with something more sinister than they anticipated. So this can be a one-shot, it can be added to a campaign, or even put in Icewind Dale. And it's best with a group of 3 to 5 characters of levels 10 to 13. So you don't often see adventures in that 10 to 13, sort of tier 3 area. So this is, again, another good reason to pick this up so you have adventures for that area, especially if you're already messing around in Icewind Dale or you want to do something in the tundra area. But what I like about this description, too, is that it seems like a lot of stuff is going to be going on at once, and that really can heighten the tension in an adventure. And I think tension is really important in any story, but especially in an adventure, because you're going to keep people's attention. You're going to keep them coming back for your sessions. If you have a couple sessions, maybe you turn this one shot into 2 sessions. It can keep them coming back, and that's important. You want that staying power. You want those people there. And so having, they're looking for someone who's missing. They're hearing these screams all the time. Then there's this, what's going on with the meteor, and then all these other things happening all at once. It's gonna heighten that tension for you. So looking inside, you get to see 6 of the pages in the preview. And it says, months prior to the start of the adventure, the black blanketed sky of gray was set alight with blue and green flame as a great mass fell. It impacted the snow and ice before it tore into the frozen earth, causing the ground to tremble for miles. A team of scouts was quickly sent to investigate, and then they disappeared or fallen ill or something. And they were supposed to report back, but no one has in 14 days. The scouts of the outpost, led by Zeralefen, found the meteor, but they were not alone in traveling to the site. Soon after the meteor was found, 3 vampires arrived. Thinking they were additions to the team, the scouts unknowingly welcomed the vampires. The first night, while Zara continued to work, the outpost had its first of nightly attacks from the vampires, the scouts were and continue to be kept alive and then charmed to forget the horrific events they suffered. So there you go. There's all this stuff going on, and something that you can solve if you're a player. And then there's some great adventure hooks in here. We'll look at those in a minute. And then you've got all the different players, including lots of information. So a lot of times in these adventures, you get just like a paragraph about the character, but then that's it. This one has personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, so you can really easily pick them up and portray them as a dungeon master. Then you got the Meteor Outpost here with some flavor text and the different locations, and even some sample dialogue that some of the characters, the NPC characters, can say to the party. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I think this is going to be such a fun adventure for people. So let's read this sort of intro flavor text here. It says, images of a sphere of fire and snow crumbles and falls from the sky. It is extinguished once it collides with an expanse of frost and vanishes from sight. Next, there is a glow from the sphere bouncing around the glass-like ice surrounding it. The light creates a silhouette reaching out towards the sphere. Their hand lays on top of the sphere, and for an instant, there are thousands of maggots. Then, crimson contrasting the snow, creatures merge together as one giant monstrosity. The flashes subside as a view comes of tents surrounding a log-built structure. A giant bat is perched atop it with two smaller bats under its wings. One is devouring you under the giant bat's proud gaze, while the other screeches and shrivels in pain. The vision fades, and you return to yourself, traveling towards the outpost. So they're having some sort of vision on their way there, which is cool because there's some clues in there, like the bats, right? That could be a clue to the vampires, the crimson snow, and that there's going to be blood and etc. there. So very, very cool way of introducing some clues without giving it away. So as far as the adventure hooks, we'll read a couple of those. So this is a billboard in the center of town amongst wrinkled and weathered pieces of paper is a new flyer titled Discovering the Great Beyond. Pay for joining the scout team is 250 gold pieces for every 10 days. And then it gives you information on how to make contact with the person offering that. And it says, while within a tavern, the quest giver, Trin Stonefrost, or any NPC you choose, will notice the adventurer's gear and approach them. The NPC is a middleman for the scouts sent to explore the frozen tundra. Knowing that they could always use more help and the fact that they haven't reported back for days, the NPC would like to hire more people. The job would be to join the scouting team, or at least send people to find out why communication has stopped and to aid the scouts if needed. And then it talks about how much pay for that. And then it has another hook is the adventurers begin to have visions. So you could use that little bit we saw earlier, or they could have the vision regardless. Expeditions are made from town for various supplies, so they could be part of an expedition. And then, like I said, you've got at least 4 different characters here. You've got a vampire warrior, vampire spawn, another vampire spawn, and a scout. That they have all the details, the personality traits, ideals, etc. So you can even use these outside this adventure because they're so fleshed out, which is nice. But yeah, I think this looks really, really fun. I mean, just somebody screaming maggots here, and it's bow before the holy emissary is one of the other pieces of dialogue. So I think this could be, almost like if you think about the movie The Thing, or some other sort of scary snow tundra situation. I don't know. I think this would be really fun, especially at those higher levels, because you're going to get to really use some of your abilities. Sometimes you play first level and you just don't have enough going on, and you're like, I want to get to a higher level, I want to have more stuff to do. So levels 10 to 13, you're going to have a lot to do, and for a low price of just over $2 with our exclusive discount. So look for it in the timestamps. It's going to be the first title in the timestamps under Crimson Snow, or in the alphabetical list in the pinned comment, and give it a click. All right, our first new release is 50 Fantastic Villages and Towns, and it's already a best copper seller. It's from MZ Conti. So it sold over 51 copies in its first week, $2.99 for 54 pages. And it says, find tons of information in this collection of unique city concepts. This book contains 50 illustrated descriptions of small villages to big metropolises. Use it to inspire your world building and pick the elements that will better fit your own creations, enhance your campaigns, or use it to inspire your character's backstory. So you get the history, economy, politics, notable citizens, conflicts, calls for adventure, etc. in this book. So you can see you've got kind of a list of the towns, and what I like is it'll say like Northhold, the city of harsh winters. So even without looking further, you get an idea of, okay, this is, you know, some sort of city in a tundra or something. And then the next one, Ironport, the city of cultural diversity. So that must be the most notable thing about it, is that it's a melting pot. And then Ravenwood, the city of magic users. So that's more of a magic focus, etc. Right? So immediately, just flipping through this, you can find, you know, ones focused on an active volcano or a giant chicken or canals and waterways, etc. And then you, of course, get into the full-blown description. So we get to see Northhold here, and you get Ironport. So like basically a page, Ravenwood, Underhall, etc. So let's read about Ravenwood. This is the city of the study of magic. So it's got a population of 20,000. It says the walled city of Ravenwood is located in the heart of a dense and ancient forest and is known for its rich and varied ecosystem, with a wide variety of plants and animals living within its walls. The city is home to a large population with a mix of cultures and traditions from all over the kingdom. Ravenwood is also home to a number of skilled craftsmen and artisans who create everything from pottery to metalwork, with many of their creations being sold in the local markets or exported to other parts of the kingdom. In addition to its artisans, the city is also home to a number of magical academies and schools, where students come to learn the ways of magic and study the ancient texts and artifacts that are housed within its walls. The people of Ravenwood are known for their love of magic and their deep connection to the natural world, with many of them practicing the ancient traditions of their ancestors. Despite its peaceful and idyllic appearance, Ravenwood has a dark and troubled history. Many years ago, the city was the site of a great magical war. So you can see, giving you lots of background on this city. But it says, since then, Ravenwood has rebuilt itself and become a hub of magical study. And it just gives you lots and lots of lore about this city. So you just never know when your players are going to go, well, we need to go to town. We need to find a town. We want to do this. We want to prepare this way, that way, whatever, which you may not have been ready for. And what I like about this is pretty much like the lore piece. So you could just have any map of a town, any kind of maybe a town you've already been homebrewing, and you could just slap these details on top of it and maybe come up with a few business names. You know, in the magic one, maybe you would have, you know, the Alchemist's Forge or something, you know, and that would be like the name of a tavern or some sort of magic sounding place in that city. So you just have to sort of invent a few place names, a few characters, and you've got the full backstory of like what the city's been through. In the tavern, they're talking about the great magic war that happened and how the people, you know, maybe they lost their grandfather or whatever, right? Because you have this backstory of Ravenwood, and you can build upon it. And what's nice is that each of these have different populations. So this one is 13,000. You know, Northhold's only 2,000, and you've got an image you can show to the players as well for each of these. So pretty cool. I like it. Can never have enough of these. So I hope you check it out. It's under 50 fantastic villages and towns in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Bear Actions, a dragon with bear problems. It's a tier 2 adventure, and it can be used standalone, or it can be used in combination with Broken Wing, which was another adventure we talked about. It was on our discount program a little while back, and it's only 99 cents for this. It's by Joseph Morrow, and it's 10 pages. It says, Tempest is a young bronze dragon. He has established his first lair. Tempest has been away for a few months. He was patrolling the coastline and assisting seafarers. While gone, a family of bears made themselves at home in his lair. For a bronze dragon, that should not be an issue. The problem is Tempest has a fear of bears and does not want to hurt them. He wants them relocated. That is where the party of adventurers come in. So, you know, the previous adventure had some fun interactions with dragons, so you can continue on from that, and you can see Broken Wing is down here in the more from the titles contributors as well. So you could continue on from that, or you could use this independently, have the characters connect with this bronze dragon, and it could request their help. So yeah, so it says it's 2 to 3 hour adventure with stat blocks and additional recommendations, and an original magic item called the Bronze Scale of Tempest. So let's look inside. So it says Tempest is a high energy young adult bronze dragon. He's starting to make a good name for himself in the coastal towns. He patrols the coastline, helping sailors. He loves to barter with them. Tempest has saved a few mariners from watery graves, but he has a bear problem. Seems a family of brown bears has overtaken his new lair to hibernate. Tempest does not want to harm the bears, but would love to have them relocated. Bears are not Tempest's favorite. He has a phobia of them. It says Tempest Lair is near the coastline. It is a modest-sized cave among the rocks and trees. All right, so it gives you the objectives and the conclusions. It says move the family of bears that have taken residency in Tempest Lair. That's the objective. And read aloud. It says, I left my lair for a few months. I was following ships up and down the coast. When I got back, this family of 3 bears moved in. I thought I hid the entrance well, but I guess not. These bears ate my food and are sleeping in my bed. I'm not proud to admit this, but I'm afraid of bears. I don't want to hurt them. I want them removed. Can you lure them out? You can move them to the woods, right? So you can see Tempest is really troubled by these bears, but not enough to do anything himself. So I think it could be fun little adventure, and it's only 99 cents. And of course you get some pictures, and then you get some items here like the Qual's Feather token and the Bronze Scale of Tempest. It says with the Qual's Feather token Swan Boat, you can use an action to touch the token to a body of water at least 60 feet in diameter. The token disappears, and a 50-foot long, 20-foot wide boat shaped like a swan takes its place. The boat is self-propelled and moves across water at a speed of 6 miles per hour. You can use an action while on the boat to command it to move or turn it up to 90 degrees. The boat can carry up to 32 medium or smaller creatures. A large creature counts as 4 medium creatures, while a huge creature counts as 9. The boat remains for 24 hours and then disappears. You can dismiss the boat as an action. So yeah, that'd be a fun little item too to get. So for 99 cents, you're getting an encounter with its bears and a dragon, and then you're also getting some fun little magic items. So check it out. It's under Bear Actions in the video description links. Give it a click. Next, we have Deep Dread from DM Conclave, and it's for Forgotten Realms, and it is 46 pages for $4.95. It says, trouble stirs in Neverwinter as the player characters are summoned to assist in a precarious escort mission of a notorious criminal known as the Mangler. The prisoner is among the most wanted for vile crimes in numerous cities and states, yet Neverwinter is not one of them. Lord Never Ember's right hand will enlist the heroes to escort the Mangler to a secret location in the trackless sea known only to a select few exceptional individuals. One of those people is Captain Morgrim Grimbellow, a dwarf honest-to-God sailor who has traveled the seas for over a century with a love for ale and song. The heroes will travel with the captain and his motley crew aboard the Marrow across the perilous trackless sea. After defending the Marrow from danger during the voyage, they will learn of the riddle of the song Glitters Gold upon arrival on Gordorlin, a dangerous frozen location that, apart from the brave guns, is also inhabited by a loathsome Morgoth. Their plans to deliver the prisoner to the secret prison for the criminally insane will be roughly overturned, as things are not what they seem at the prison. Should the player character survive the ordeal with assistance from the unlikeliest of allies, they will discover the power they hold in knowing the secret of the song Glitters Gold and the truth of the legends about the island. Their plans overturned and caught between a rock and a hard place, the heroes will have to decide which is the lesser evil and who to side with. Nothing is as it first seems in a gripping adventure woven around a song that is a tribute to the Forgotten Realms. May the riddle of the song lead your adventures into riches and glory and rum. So it says the book includes original fantasy music and lyrics with links to the song Glitters Gold and theatrical and original versions to immerse your players further when they learn about the riddle of the song. You get maps And it says a new legendary artifact, 2 new monsters, enhanced weather tables, superstitions for at sea, a new tool called affiliation points to aid the DM in determining if the hidden villain will side with the party or against them, plot hooks, Forgotten Realms lore, and of course, lots more. And you can see some fun artwork already as we scroll down here. So yeah, this looks really fun. Let's look inside. So the adventure is broken into 4 chapters plus a conclusion. And then you've got your magical items, monsters, NPCs, maps, and of course the music here. So you get the full adventure overview, some DM tips, and then you get right into the introduction. So we'll look at some of this. A good lengthy flavor text here, and we might read some of that. And then the voyage begins, and it says encounter 1, ale and a song. So yeah, that looks fun too. And here's some of the lyrics of the song. You just don't often get music with adventure, so I always appreciate when there is an adventure that has those. We've had one that was like a full Feywild musical on this show before. That was pretty cool. And then we've seen a couple that come with musical scores, but it's rare. So I'm always excited when that's included in the adventure. So let's read a little bit of this shorter flavor text here. So we've got ale and a song. It says that if the player characters choose to visit the beached Leviathan in Black Lake District during the night, they will encounter Captain Morgrim Grimbellow and his motley crew of sailors. If they do not, you can use this encounter during the voyage or after the battle. So nice that you have a couple places to use this. It says the smell of ale, the light and warmth of the immense fireplace, sweetened by the aroma of well-cooked food, could only be made better by the company of good friends. The place is packed with patrons of various races, everyone speaking in a multitude of languages, but mostly common. The chatter's hum is continuous and loud, as if you are at a busy marketplace. Several sailors, but also various merchants or craftspeople seem to frequent the establishment, many of them knowing the owner by name. So yeah, that really sets the stage for where you are. And it looks like, it says, while the player characters are enjoying their meals and drinks together and sharing their own tales among the usual rabble of patrons, they begin to hear the loud shouts of joy. And they notice a bunch of different people, but eventually it looks like they are prodding and cheering on an aging dwarf who's drinking straight from a barrel. The dwarf does it with apparent ease, despite the often side spills on his beard and studded leather armor. So here's a flavor text for that. It says, once the dwarf has had enough, he sets down the barrel, letting out a rumbling burp, which is followed by a loud applause from his companions. Other patrons look a bit annoyed, but some find it funny enough to smile, and a few of them even call out, "Hey, Mordrim, share us a song, you drunken old mule." The old dwarf scoffs, but is quickly prodded even further by his companions with shouts of agreement and cheers. Looking at his company, he stands up indignantly, and this time appears steady as a mountain rock against the storm. With a foggy gaze struck somewhere into the far reaches of the room, as if granted a faraway sight with his cloudy dark eyes, he smiles. He inhales deeply and evenly and begins to sing with a loud, deep, and gruff voice that reverberates through the establishment. Everyone stands still, listening to his song. So that's where you get the Glitter's Gold Song. And again, there's links so that you can hear the actual songs, and you can always use songs. There's bards in this game, right? So having access to songs that fit the world is good. And I mean, it looks nice. I can tell from some of the lyrics. I mean, the first one is far western towards the trackless sea. So they're already connecting it to Forgotten Realms and really giving you that feel like you're in this fantasy world. So I love that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot to see and read in Deep Dread. So I hope you come here and click on the preview and read more and decide if this works for you. But I think, 46 pages for $4.95 is a really great price. And this adventure is for level 8. So check it out under Deep Dread in the links below. Give it a click. All right, next we have LPS2 Flamelords of Kuntur Rapa. And it says it's a regional guide for the Forgotten Realms. It's by John Hild. It's $1.50 for 24 pages. It says, in the far eastern corner of the land of fire known as Lapongo on Toril, there is a super volcano that threatens the very life of the planet. While enemies from beyond and below threaten to hasten its impending eruption, a society of protectors have formed a group of unlikely allies. The elemental dwarves, known as Azers, and their Azer-blooded kin, phoenix folk, known as the Flamelords, red giants from another world known as Solix, and the strangely beautiful 𝙎𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙧 dragonborn, known as the 𝘽𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙧, have joined forces to thwart powerful enemies in this little-known portion of the world. Join them as they turn back the tides of the primordial 𝙤𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬, an abomination from the fiery core of the world. So it contains a whole nation of flame-oriented beings and themes that could be transplanted to just about anywhere that a volcano would be. And so it says you get a history and timeline of the subsetting, new player options including the Azer-blooded, the Solix, 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 dragonborn, and then you get the Flamelords, which is like Phoenix folks, and then of course you get a Warlock Pact for Pact of the Phoenix. Then you get new magic items and spells, as well as new and updated monsters, the Draknor and Elemental Vermin, Phaethon, and Foara. So lots of fun, fiery stuff in here. You get to see 14 of those 24 pages in the preview. So I'm just going to scroll through so you can see. Here's the Azer-blood, the Flamelords, and the Solix. So you get to see a lot of the races in here. And then, of course, you get a Paladin Oath, which is nice. Oath of the Flaming Condor, and then Pact of the Phoenix. So very, very cool. Solix magic. Here's some of the spells. So quite a good mix of things. Monsters. I mean, yeah, you're really getting to see a lot in here. And what's nice is, this is kind of expanding a lesser known area of Forgotten Realms, but you can take this stuff and put it anywhere. You can take these subclasses out and just have, sort of a lava or fiery themed campaign. You could take these spells out of here and use them elsewhere, these monsters, these races. So there's a lot of opportunities to do things. So looking at Azer-blood, it says, where Azer are a forged race native to the plane of fire, their Azer-blood descendants are born of both the prime and the fire. Now a race that breeds true, the Azer-bloods vastly outnumber their Azer ancestors in Kuntur Rapa, and their shield dwarf ancestors no longer occupy the region. So the traits include your humanoid, medium, 30 feet, dark vision, and then it says folks of the Forge are resistance to fire damage, stability. Whenever you must make a saving throw to avoid being knocked prone, you receive advantage on the saving throw. And then Flames of 𝘠𝙤𝙤. As an action, you can cast Heat Metal a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And it says Azer-bloods were first introduced in Dragon Magazine issue 350. So this is rooted in Wizards of the Coast TSR history here, these characters. That's awesome to see things brought back, and there's other races being brought back as well here. Now let's scroll down and read one of the spells. So looks like a lot of fun ones like Sun Shield, Phoenix Armor, Gleam, etc. Split the Soul. Let's read that one. That sounds interesting. 5th level Necromancy. Costs an action, range of 30 feet, 10-minute duration for Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. Split the Soul only affects shapeshifters with at least 2 forms, creatures that share their soul with another entity, or possessed beings. Creatures can either submit to or resist the spell, with the latter requiring a Charisma saving throw. If the creature succeeds on a saving throw or doesn't fall into any of the 3 categories mentioned, the spell has no effect. If this spell is successfully cast upon a shapeshifter, the form it takes most often is split from its body, creating a whole new creature with a duplicate personality to the original, as it would be in that particular form. For example, if a werewolf in human form has a spell cast upon it, a werewolf in hybrid form appears in an adjacent square to the original humanoid. If the human does not usually have control over its alternate form, the werewolf may indeed attack its originator. In other cases, the second body might cooperate with the original creature. While the spell is active, an affected shapeshifter cannot use its shape-shifting ability. When the spell duration concludes, the new body becomes an ethereal mist which returns to the original body instantaneously, despite any distances between the two. The spell affects creatures who share their soul with another, such as the Flamelords, in an identical manner, with the second body being formed from the shared soul. So this results in a Foara in the case of the Flamelords, which are creatures and races in this book. Finally, this spell effectively exorcises possessing spirits who do not return once the duration is ended. Unlike many exorcisms, however, if the possessing spirit can form a body, it does so in an adjacent square to the creature it was possessing. So this spell might not be like something that you would take in, a typical campaign, or maybe like a Wizards of the Coast book or something that you're running as an adventure. But in the right adventure, this spell could come in really handy. I mean, if you're dealing with a shapeshifter, you're dealing with a werewolf situation, you're dealing with the faux larges here, you might really need this. This could also be something that only an NPC does. If you have an NPC that could do this, even just for story to visually describe the two separate beings, could be a really fun story moment. So I like this. I think it's pretty creative. Even though it only would fit in certain places, I think you could get a lot of use out of it. And then they've got some magic items in here as well. So there's some figurines of wondrous power, wings of flame, potion of volcanic adaptation, and the pipe of filtration. So pipe of filtration is a rare item. When filled with dried fireweed, the pipe of filtration can be smoked, forming a 30-foot radius of clean air that protects against natural gases completely and gives advantage to all creatures within its area of protection against gaseous attacks like cloud kill. Creatures in gaseous form must also make a con saving throw in order to enter the protected area. If used in a void setting such as space, the pipe of filtration can completely scrub fouled air in an hour, or turn deadly air into a fouled air in the same amount of time for a galleon-sized ship. So, pretty cool. Yeah, I like this. I think there's so many different little pieces in this book that you can pull out and use, or you can really bring everybody to the Land of Fire, Lopungo, on Twirl, and just experience all this together. So that could be really fun. So check it out. It's under LPS2 Flamelords of Kuntur Rapa in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Menagerie of a Mad Mage, and it's a guide to infinite possibilities of magic from 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬, and it's $11.99 for 19 pages. It says this lovingly crafted compendium is a portal not only into the world of magic, but into the mind of a man who would create and collect items as esoteric and eccentric as these. This 19-page compendium is filled to the brim with unique and play-tested magic items that will expand upon the limits of what such items can achieve. While using familiar mechanics for ease of access, DMs and players can expect to be able to drop these directly into their games. In addition, throughout this compendium, you will find commentary from the Mad Mage himself, Cormac Farahel, a wizard scholar, inventor, and therapy patient who will entertain and inform. So, sounds like a fun character to get some suggestions from. So yeah, you can see that there's a good amount of items in here. So we're going to just pick a couple to read for you. Let's see. Cloak of Winds. It's a cloak. It's rare. Requires attunement. This 4-length cloak seems to flow gently at all times, whether or not in the presence of wind, and is made from several layers of dark green leaves. This cloak has 3 charges. As a bonus action, while you are wearing it, you can expend a charge to summon a whirlwind of leaves around you and choose a spot within 30 feet. You teleport to the chosen spot with a howl of wind audible up to 100 feet away. This cloak regains all expended charges daily at dawn. So yeah, it looks really cool. I like the look of it. I like that it's flowing at all times. And that you can't use it silently. That's an interesting thing too, because it's going to create this howl of wind. I mean, that could be chalked up to natural sounds of wind, so it's not like it would give you away 100%. But I do like that it's got that sound associated with it too. So let's pick another one up here. The Bearskin Hood. It says this seemingly innocuous hood has the ability to transform the head of the wearer into a vicious bear head, kind of like this picture up here. It says, as a bonus action, while wearing this hood, you can pull over your head and face and transform your head into a real bear head. While this transformation is active, you gain a natural weapon bite attack and another feature determined by the color of the hood. So if it's an uncommon bearskin hood, you get bite weapon damage dice 1d6. You have advantage on intimidation checks. If it's rare, the bite weapon damage dice is 1d8, and you gain +2 to damage rolls with the bite attack. And if it's very rare, the damage dice is 1d10, and once per turn when you land a bite attack against a creature, this hood heals you for the number of hit points equal to your strength modifier. So very, very cool. I think that's awesome. Um, could be fun to have these different little bear heads on people. It's going to look a little different because there's going to be oversized head, right? And to have the various rarities is also helpful in a magic item because maybe as a DM you're only going to allow the rare one in your campaign or only the uncommon, or maybe the players are only going to get access to one of the levels, but an enemy has a higher level. It's up to you, but it gives you that versatility when you have three different versions. And we just looked at a couple of them. There's a lot of magic items in here, so check it out. It's under the Menagerie of a Mad Mage, and the link's below. Give it a click. Next, we have Playable Weapons by Johnny Hitiko. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly. I apologize if I didn't. $4 for 16 pages. And this sounds really fun because it's a race where you're actually playing as a weapon. And it says sentient magic items have been part of fantasy for a long time now, and this is my attempt at making such a character playable. Playing a weapon offers a unique chance at a support cast role that empowers and advises their wielder, saves them from dire situations, and possibly grows into an independent entity later on. Some of the weapon origins featured in this book are distinctly leaning towards evil entities, but such does not mean that the wielder must share their view. Indeed, the wielder may struggle against the lures of evil, while the weapon, for reason or another, remains integral to the wielder. So, really fun. It says, the author says, I envisioned this class for more senior players that enjoy giving the spotlight to others while fulfilling support roles, but it could also work for players that enjoy a more passive and supportive role in general. So yeah, this could be for somebody who doesn't want to do all the things, right? That just wants to participate, role play, almost like a background character, but they're involved, and they're observing. If there's people out there that have actual play streams and they have guest spots, this could be a great way to bring in that guest spot. You give them, have them shepherd a weapon for just a session. Maybe the weapon's voice changes and is going through a lot of things, right? So you could even have that weapon continue in the next adventure with a different guest. I mean, there's lots of ways to use this. Even if the DM wants to take on the role of this and just kind of speak the words, there's so many different ways to do this. Have this sort of play out. Because it could be an NPC carrying the weapon right at first, and so the DM has to sort of voice it, etc. However you want to do it, I think there's really cool opportunities here. But it says within are provided a background, class, and 5 weapon origins. And it says, while at the beginning the weapon may be weaker than many average starting characters and nearly dependent on its wielder to interact with the world, as it grows in power, it gains more ways of interacting with the world, and some gain means of becoming entirely self-sufficient. So, again, the DM's going to control all that. So if the character is, or the player is like getting frustrated with the lack of independence, that could be accelerated, or magic spell could hit the weapon, and it just happens to be near a portal, and something happens and it gets turned into Warforged or some other kind of thing. So that the and that could be at the end of the session, right? So then the player has time to go create a stat sheet and everything, and become more independent. So there's a number of ways you could go, but there's just nothing like this. There's nothing like this to give you sort of that backseat role, and so I really like that. And so there's a lot of cool stuff in here. It says legacy magic weapon, and so it gives you kind of your traits. If you have that, so it says you are an object, not a creature, and thus cannot be targeted by effects that wouldn't target an object. So that's another thing. Like, everybody gets put to sleep. You're not going to be asleep if you're a weapon, right? Weapon immunities. While you are a weapon, you are immune to all conditions in acid, necrotic, poison, and non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage that isn't adamantine. And it gives your age, your alignment, size, speed. You have no movement speed. Languages you understand common and one extra language of your choice, but cannot speak, read, or write. You are a weapon and may choose any weapon type. You use the stats of the weapon if you make any attacks, and any attacks that you are used for. It is recommended to be a weapon that can be conveniently used by other party members. And then it shows you like all your features, And then, some spells. So that's cool. As a magical weapon, you can function as a conduit and storage for spells corresponding to the spell list. By default, you cannot cast spells that require verbal or somatic components. Instead, your wielder can cast spells using your spell slots, proficiency, and spellcasting ability. So again, you're kind of supporting by giving those extra options to another character. You get cantrips. It says at first level, 2 first level spells of your choice from the origin spell list. The spells known column shows you how you learn more as you go. It says, okay, then your weapon origin. When you choose this class at first level, you must choose the origin of your weapon. Your weapon origin determines and influences any of your features. So it's kind of like a class and a race melded together, because there's not really a race component to this. Well, a little bit if you consider the origins, although those are more like subclasses, I guess. But anyway, it's like a melding in my mind of those two things. At first level, your magic weapon, when you are used to make an attack, the attacker may add half of your proficiency bonus to the attack and damage rolls. So pretty cool. So here's the weapon origin features. And they've got, let's see, at 15th level, your powers have grown nigh unsurpassed, and you may choose one of the following benefits. Dancing Blade. Once per short or long rest while you are not being wielded, you can use an action to animate your weapon self. You gain at 30 feet of hover speed and are able to take all the regular actions as a character would be able to, such as attack, dodge, or disengage. And then Death Warder is an action or a reaction to your wielder being reduced to 0 hit points. You transfer up to 10 hit points from yourself to your wielder. Additionally, you and your wielder gain advantage on death saving throws. So yeah, and then there's more benefits, but I just want to read some of the descriptions of the sort of subclasses because we're not seeing those in the preview. So it says awakened weapon. You are an awakened weapon, consciousness given to a tool of death. You may be content in your form or be curious of existence beyond it. You are focused on perfecting your function as a weapon. Later, you will be able to interact with the world either through being animated or possibly the creation of a new body. Hidden Fae. You are a fairy spirit hidden within the weapon, either by your own doing as a last resort to survive or against your will to hide you away from your allies. You are focused on subtleties and charms and the puppeteering of your wielder. Later, you will be able to interact with the world in full as your Fae form is restored. Then you've got Imprisoned Fiend and Hungering Soul and Holy Spirit as the 3 other ones. So there's 5 options. I would definitely encourage also, if the player playing this weapon wants to talk, I would encourage some like telepathy with the wielder maybe, just because I think if you're sort of backseat the whole time and you're not talking either, it can be it can get really boring. So maybe giving that option, and then it's up to the player to use it or not, or the DM to allow it or not. But there's I have watched some actual plays with some sentient weapons and the DM sort of speaking for them, and it's been really entertaining. So I think you have some good opportunities for that as well. But yeah, I love this concept. I think it's a really, really cool one, and it's only $4 to have all this in your hands. So look for it in the video description links. It's under Playable Weapons. Give it a click. Next, we have The Race to Doomspace by Ghoul Logo, and it's $4.95 for 25 pages. It's a 4-to-6-hour adventure designed for 15th to 16th level characters, and it says wild space is rife with tension as various factions seek to gain the upper hand against their rivals. When a highly advanced spelljamming ship is uncovered within the Doomspace system, the player characters are asked to claim it before other groups can take it for themselves. However, the party may soon come to realize that their greatest adversary might be the ship itself. So you get the adventure. It says divided into single-page sections for easy running, 4 fully colored reference maps with unlabeled battle map versions for the players, 4+ ending variations based on the player character's decisions. So yeah, I mean, this looks like it could be really fun for Spelljammer. I think Doomspace is already like mentioned in the Spelljammer box set. I haven't even opened mine. I have it, but I haven't opened it yet. So I think it's Yeah, it's one of the spaces because you have realm space, which is the Forgotten Realm space, Kryn space, Kryn from Dragonlance, and then I think Doomspace is in there. But I'm not sure. Anyway, but it's for 4 to 5 characters of 15th or 16th level, and the majority of the adventure takes place in Doomspace, where they're racing to claim this alien ship. So there's a business meeting involved here. We'll look at that in a second. And then the icebreaker. Oh, look at this little cool penguin ship. And then a map for the penguin ship. And then Planet Malice here in the back. So yeah, I mean, this to me, $4.95 to get 25 pages. And then you're getting these maps and like in new Spelljammer ship. Because you could play this adventure, use it as intended, and then also use the map and ship elsewhere as something else. Either it carries on with the party, or it's just another one of that type of ship that's out there. So it says, once at the outpost, the characters are brought to a ship called the Icebreaker. Allow the characters to familiarize themselves with the ship's crew, weapons, and combat protocols before moving on. It says the Icebreaker is a modified Shrike ship painted to look like a 𝙤𝙗. Oh yeah, the 𝙤𝙗 is the penguin-looking race, I think. Like other Shrike ships, the Icebreaker is capable of landing on solid ground and can float on calm waters. The ship is immune to poison and psychic damage. So yeah, it looks so cool. And then you've got all your maps here for the layout. And then it says the journey to Planet Malice takes a total of 6 days, most of which are relatively uneventful. All throughout the village, the Eye of Doom, the collapsed sun-turned vortex, looms menacingly in the distance. As the ship enters Planet Malice's atmosphere, the temperature begins to drop drastically. Moxie's autonomes hand each character a set of cold weather clothing. And then there's some different features on Malice, like the Doomspace sun collapsed many years ago, leaving most of the system's moons, planets shrouded in darkness. The Icebreaker is equipped with enough light for the pilot and crew to see roughly 60 feet. So yeah, you're descending into darkness here. With no sun, the planet has been turned into an icy wasteland. Fortunately, the characters are unaffected by the detrimental effects of extreme cold while aboard the ship. And then frozen surface. Formerly a water world full of expansive oceans, the surface of the planet Malice has frozen over. While relatively safe to walk on, the ice cannot support the weight of an entire ship. And the gravity on Malice is just slightly lighter than what the characters would be accustomed to. If a creature falls from a height of 10 or greater while within the planet's gravity plane, it takes maximum fall damage. So nice. They're making it feel like a different place on Planet Malice. A lot of times in these sort of Spelljammer adventures, it's just like, oh, it's just another sort of Toril, another Kryn, yay, So it's nice to have a planet that is not the same. So fun stuff in here. I love the map. Love the notion that we're going to explore Doomspace, because I don't know if it gets explored in the Spelljammer box set, but I feel like it's more of like a setting that's there. Not sure. Either way, you're going to get to explore it with this, get to go to Malice, get some cool fun ships, get to play 15th, 16th level, which could be really fun. And I'm guessing the Spelljammer adventure ends well before 15 and 16, so you could carry on from that if you're playing a Spelljammer campaign. So lots of reasons to grab this, including the fun artwork on the cover. So look for it in the video description, links under Race to Doomspace, and give it a click. Next, we have Rary's Compendium of Madness. It's a spooky web supplement with new classes, races, and spells, as well as an ultimate guide to psionics. And it's by the 5.5e team. And its suggested price is $7.50 for 101 pages. So that is a really, really big book for a crazy good price. It says, journey into the far reaches of the Underdark and see how far the power of your mind can take you as you delve into psionics. Rary's Compendium of Madness is the team's second foray into significant homebrew, and they did previously the Tensor's terrific Tome of Talents. It says, this includes creepy new subclasses, classes, rules, and spells for players to experiment with and enjoy. So you get 3 entirely new psionic classes, 4 new races, 13 new subclasses, 73 spells, 21 psionic items, 8 feats, and new rules for playing as a psionic class. So just tons of stuff in here at a great price. So you can see the character options. So the races of the Underdark include the Afrani, the Illithid, the Sinad, the Stone Dragonborn. And then the psionic classes are the Ardent, Mystic, and Scion. So it's 3 different psionic classes, which is cool. So lots of fun stuff here. So yeah, and they've got all their contact information here, which is really cool. This is games are for everyone, which is so true. And then you've got your introduction, and then your general variant rules. So it talks about the bloodied condition, which is great. We've covered books that have that as well. So, you know, when creature gets to half its hit points, certain things happen. So that's nice. You get bonus action rules, you know, just basically some adjustments to the rules here, even for suffocation. And then you get into your character options. So you get your races, and then that goes on for a little bit. And then you get, let's see what we get after that. I think it's going to be those classes. Yep, the psionic classes. So you got the psionic characters, and then the Ardent here. So I'm not going to get into all the features because you can come here and read all the features, but just want to read what an Ardent is. It says Ardents are devoted to discovering and mastering the fundamental truths which govern the realms of the world. They conduct philosophical studies across realms, reveling in travel and experiences that come with this knowledge. An Ardent is at home anywhere they can study these truths, in places of great learning, a rowdy tavern, or even an austere temple. They are warriors, seers, scholars, and nobles of the highest caste, regarded far and wide for their studies. So yeah, that could be a fun way to engage, you know, psionics, because again, they have 3 classes for psionics, so having 3 would be really cool. But let's pick a race to look at, and we'll look at some of their abilities. So, Iphrani, that sounds really fun. Iphrani are also known as Scar Witnesses, are creatures molded of pain and suffering, having been driven to the brink of mortal limits and come out the other side. These creatures seem to flicker between the lines of life and death, a line that most other creatures look upon with a mixture of fear and disgust. This moniker they have acquired over the years is warranted, as treading that line has granted them an unnatural gift for foreseeing death whenever it may appear. Whenever a creature peers into the eyes of an Iphrani, horror beyond comprehension stares back at them. To become an Iphrani, a creature must undergo years of suffering, something that would break the spirit and the body of any other creature. Iphrani has been reported to occur more often in slaving operations and work camps, slums, and other places where ease and comfort are long forgotten. So interesting. I like that. It reminds me of a lineage, because it's you know, some lineages to me are things that happen to a member of any race, and then they transform. So yeah, this sounds like a lineage. So corrupted body, choose any race as your uncorrupted race. You inherit the ability score, increases movement speed, size, and languages of the creature, but no other racial features. And then talks about your age, and then you get gravesight. Being so close to the afterlife and suddenly being pulled back has shown you visions of the grave. You can see through 30 feet of non-magical darkness as if it was dimly lit, and you can see through 10 feet of magical darkness as if it was heavily obscured. Additionally, you may turn your gaze towards a living creature to attempt to predict the way it will die. Over the course of a minute, you may focus on one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You then make an insight check contested by the creature's stealth check. On a successful check, you may accurately predict the method in which a creature is going to die and the time they are going to die within 1 week. This information is always general and vague, such as this creature will die from exhaustion. It does not reveal more specific information, such as the name of the creature or item that is going to kill them. With ever-changing nature of the weave and the weft of the world, this method of prediction is highly subject to change, and events such as a boat sinking before the creature got on it can alter the course of the creature's demise. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you get a long rest in. So interesting. I like that. Yeah, and you could have some fun roleplay opportunities for that. And then you get a sub-race, so then they've got the Chained, the Lost, and the Undying. So says, with the Chain subrace, the flames of the nine hells have touched your very soul. Scorch marks and soot stains cover your entire body, and your skin is icy cold to the touch. Those around you feel a strange sense of dread. You gain resistance to one damage type of your choice, choosing from either fire, cold, or acid. And then chilling visions, those who gaze into your eyes see visions of the nine hells themselves. You gain disadvantage on persuasion checks and advantage on intimidation checks. So interesting. Yeah, I like it. I like that there's different sub races for this. Yeah, I think it fits. I mean, there's going to be people that were either, you know, chained in a sort of a hellscape or as slaves or whatever that maybe. in this magical world transformed into something different, like a lineage. So very, very cool. I like this whole book. Everything I looked at was really interesting, and gives you lots of options, and the price is just crazy good. So check it out. It's under Rary's Compendium of Madness in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have The Song of the Last Heroes 3, The Abduction of the Drowned Sisters by Rodarin Press, is $3.95 for 22 pages. And so they have done 3 adventures now with this one, and they're for Theros. And we just don't see a lot of Theros content. It's been a while since Mythical Odysseys of Theros was released by Wizards, so you just don't see so much for that anymore. So I was excited to see this, so we can, there's people out there that are still playing Theros campaigns or looking to start one. And so I thought it'd be great to include this and show you that there's options still continuing to be made on DM's Guild for these settings. So deep in the Artemisian forest, the characters must venture to find the stolen statues of the drowned sisters and return them to the hunters and Brents, a blessed sacred sanctuary. In this adventure, the party will face some moral dilemma and eventually decide what to believe when they are faced with a new version of an ancient foundational myth. So it includes an adventure for 3rd level gaming groups, detailed locations, a battle map, descriptions, magic items, handouts, creatures, and a few sessions that explore the Hellenic-inspired world of the song. So very cool. And I think again, we need all the settings to have continuous releases for people. Yes, you can homebrew your own things, but it's nice to have something to either inspire your creations or to actually use. So exciting to see this, and also exciting to see people, if they envisioned sort of a trilogy of adventures, seeing them get there and get it done. Because a lot of people, I'm going to do a trilogy of adventures, and then they release the first one, and then they never come back to it. So it's nice to see that this is continued by Rodarin Press. So you've got the chapters here, 3 different chapters for the adventure, but there's some good setup information as well. And then aftermath, and then handouts and a map of Acaria. This talks about running the campaign, adapting the lore. I'm sure you could pick up the adventure here. You don't have to get the previous 2. Crafty DM can always make things work. So I wouldn't stress too much about that. $3.95 is a good price point. My hope is that they'll do a bundle at some point with all the parts of this, so you can get all 3 pieces together. But so you got plot hooks, previous knowledge, and then chapter 1, the Hunter Sanctuary. In a fortified exclave about 6 miles from the walled limits of Carcanagri, bordering a large forest, lies the sanctuary of Artemis Agroterra, the hunter goddess. This is where the characters will receive the quest and where they will investigate the crime scene. Additionally, they can talk with NPCs in the area for quest-related subjects or otherwise and enjoy some of the services available. So yeah, already you're getting a nice little location to start stuff. So let me read this box out loud. It says, as the characters approach the sanctuary of Artemis, read the following. The well-kept road starts at Carcanagri Northern Gate and follows the winding Silver Fox River. A considerable number of people can be seen traveling this road, commoners, guards, and even pilgrims carrying baskets with offerings. Every once in a while, along the ceremonial path, you see a stone marking, a herm depicting the bust of the hunter goddess, encircled by candles and offerings. After about 6 miles, you see the road climbs a squat hill to the sanctuary of Artemis Agroterra's walled perimeter. Above the simple stone fortifications, you can see the tiled rooftops of temples, altars, and other buildings. As you traverse the gate, you see the courtyard is filled with pilgrims and clerical attendants, in both loud conversation and quiet praying. In a few moments, you are approached by a female acolyte that greets you with a bright smile and says, "Welcome, travelers, to the Hunter's Embrace. What brings you to this delightful sanctuary?" So, nice little intro, gives you the feeling for this sort of agrarian environment, and that you're approaching this temple. I love Theros. I love anything that's Greco-Roman. I think it's just such an interesting period in history, and visually it's so different from the typical fantasy appearance as well. So I think it's cool to see people exploring that, and giving you these kinds of books. So we'll read a little bit more about the sanctuary here. It says the sanctuary of Artemis Agroterra, also known as Hunter's Embrace, was founded by the cult of Artemis, once headquartered in the Temple of Artemis on Karkanagri. A few centuries ago, a low-ranking priestess named Despina had a vision of sacred deer being hunted by the huntress on the plains between the town and the Artemisian forest. The final arrow pierced the beast's neck atop a small hill, where the goddess wanted a sanctuary to be built. The blessed project began, and slowly new temples were constructed, honoring many gods and myths that surrounded the hunter, goddess, and the island's beliefs. So, very, very cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, just so much good information. Even the border is very, Greco-Roman style. Love that. It's, just can't have enough stuff for Theros. It's been out for a while, so seeing people continue to create for it is great. So check it out. It's under the Song of the Last Heroes 3 and the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Tessa presents 94 maps for Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen. So we don't always talk about maps on the show, but Tessa Moorcroft does such a great job and is so comprehensive that we really have to include it, because you have to hear about this, that there is this creator out here, Tessa Moorcroft, giving you every single map that you would need to run Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen, if you of course stick to the book. So it's $9.99 and it's 94 pages, and it's just really cool. I think that it's a really great thing to do, and to give people maps for everything in the adventure. It's hard to scrounge around and say, oh, I'm going to need a map that's kind of like this. Well, this one's not exactly right. Can I make it work? Okay, I guess I can crop it. Like that's a lot of work, especially if you need 94 of them. So I think having someone like Tessa out there really just resolving all of that, just really making it accessible to people is so cool, because people want to be able to VTT this stuff. They want to have all the maps ready, and that can be a barrier to people. They can say, oh, I'm not even going to play this because I don't want to have to go find all the maps, right? So Tessa is taking all that out of the equation and saying, you don't have to worry about it. I got you. Here's all the maps you're going to need. Enjoy. And I love that. So you get printable versions, you get the various DPIs for the VTT systems, grid, no grid, etc. You can see just in the images here how there's variations, which is helpful. And this is just chapter 3 and the preludes, and then chapter 4 and chapter 5. And I mean, it just goes on. So many great things. We're going to look inside as well. But what's nice is Tessa doesn't just leave you hanging either. Tessa has instructions. And that's always great. So a lot of times you buy these map packs and it's like, okay, what do I do now? I obviously can import into VTT, but what if I want to print? What if I want to do this or that? And then, find out more about Tessa and the free stuff that Tessa has. It's all in this this introduction. So very cool. And then of course a list of all the different maps, you can keep track of them, and then just thumbnails of all of them, so you can scroll through and see, okay, here's the West Side House and citing the enemy section, and then the refugees at the shore and the city market, and just fun, beautiful stuff here. These little flooded areas, very, very cool. I like it a lot. Yeah, just a great job, and so dependable. I think Tessa's done this for almost every adventure that's come out, and it's so great for DMs to be able to rely on Tessa to put this out there and save the day. So I hope you check it out, and if you don't use maps, maybe refer it to a friend, because it's got to be a mountain of work for Tessa to do this. It's already sold 51 copies in its first week, but it needs to sell more, because Tessa's really spending so much time bringing this, and really close to the release. I mean, think of how long it takes to create every single one of these maps, and to have it come out, around a month from the time the book came out. I think that's incredible, because, I mean, this is painstaking to create these. So check it out. It's under Tessa Presents 94 Maps for Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen in the links below. Give it a click. Well, that was our last new release for one of the sites. Before we move on to the second site, a few announcements for you. First of all, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave us a comment. All those things help us get the word out. More people find the videos and get to know about all these great releases if you can do that. And I'll respond to all comments personally. If you can click those links in the video description and support all these awesome creators that we featured this week, that really helps them. This business is tough, so you want to help encourage them to stay in it and creating these awesome titles for you to enjoy and bring to your table. And if you click any of those links and make a purchase, even if we didn't talk about it today, it's going to help support the channel through a small affiliate fee. So we really appreciate it when you do your shopping with us. That's awesome. And if you really want to take it to the next level to support us, you can purchase one of our books. You can go to splinterverse.com to read more about all of those, or click the links in the video description in the section we have on our books. And I'll just tell you about a few of them here now. So our latest one is the Dragonlance Companion. It's 180 pages for DMs and players to really get into Krynn. Everything from subclasses to races, including classic ones like Draconians and half-ogres and Thanoi, as well as 2 full-blown adventures, a tier 1 and a tier 2 that you can link together for a full campaign. We've got monsters, magic items, encounters, new types of items like legacy items, and even herald items that are connected to the gods, which we profile in massive detail so that you can use the piety system to really interact with the gods. So there's just so much to be found in there for Dragonlance and Krynn if you're into that, or if you want to take these things and put them in another setting, of course. And it's available in print as hardcover or digital, or you can get both for this combo price, where there's no extra charge for the digital. So that's always very cool. Then we've also got Swarms of the Multiverse, which is over 180 pages dedicated to brand new monsters that have some sort of connection to swarms, whether it's they form swarms, they summon swarms, or they control swarms. Each of the 70 new monsters in this book have some sort of connection, and we give them lots of space in the book. Each monster gets a minimum of 2 pages, so you get lots of lore, you get tactics, you get a playlist of the moves that they would use on their stat blocks. So if you want to quickly run it without reading too much, you can just go through the playlist. We've also got associated things like magic items that are connected to some of the creatures, demiplanes, full demiplanes that you can explore with some of these creatures as well. Then we've got rules for you to create your own swarms that are balanced for 5th edition, so that's really helpful. And then we have other types of swarms, like environmental swarms that don't even have hit points, but are more like hazards or puzzles that your party will have to pass through on their way to whatever the next adventure is. So tons and tons of stuff to really bring swarms to life and help you make a swarm out of any creature, whether it's third party or an official Wizards release. You'll be able to confidently make those swarms using those balanced rules. And again, it's print or digital. Then we've also got our platinum bestsellers here with the Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages devoted to the Feywild, the plane where everything is Fey, and it's really a fun place to explore. It's a little bit different than the material plane, so you can have a really unique experience that kind of turns things on its head. And this fits well with Wild Beyond the Witchlight or any other Fey experience that you want to have. It's got player subclasses, one for each class that connects to the Fae. It's got magic items, races, lineages. It's even got trinkets, a new type of item called Flowers of the Feywild, which is a new consumable that helps you really feel like you've gone to a fantastical place. But these flowers can be used as a consumable item or like an environmental hazard, which is fun. We got a brand new Domain of Delight with a beautifully illustrated map in the same style as the one in Wild Beyond the Witchlight for Prismeer. We've got full adventures, encounters, monsters. I mean, it's just jam-packed. VTT tokens, all that stuff stuff if you buy the digital, but it's also available in print as well. So you're going to want to check that out. Then there's also our other platinum bestseller, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets. It's devoted to dragons. It's meant to tie into Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, but it can be used on its own. So you've got dragon-themed subclasses, one for each class. You've got trinkets. You've got magic items. You've got horde magic items, draconic gifts. So those things that are in Fizban's, we're expanding and giving you more. So you have more draconic gifts and more horde magic items. You get a brand new familiar, adventure hooks to tie everything together from the DM point of view, so you can make those subclasses NPCs or whatever you want to do. So it's really, really good. It's going to be a hardcover soon. So by the time you watch this, it might already be a hardcover. So you can get the hardcover and or the digital as well. Then we've got our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which is devoted to the new concept of lineages that was introduced in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. And it's really fun. It makes your race basically something very personal to you, because lineages are something that is sort of thrust upon your character. It's not how you were born. It's an experience that you've gone through, and it's changed you. And so these are very conflict-driven lineages, suitable for any setting, not just Ravenloft. Got 4 of those in there, and then we've got optional rules on how to string those together, so you can go from one lineage to the next, or you can remove a lineage if there's some reason you want to go back to the original race, or just for story purposes you want to remove it. You have that option with this book. And then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is print or digital, and it's over 100 pages, and it's really devoted to taking potions, which are kind of a run-of-the-mill thing where you just say, oh, I'm going to take a healing potion, oh, I'm going to take a healing potion, and make them fun again. It's got optional rules for taste, smell, overdosing on these potions, how to craft the potions. Even with the 30 new potions in here with really cool artwork, we've gone and given you really in-depth origin stories for each of them, that you can have a vendor relate to the players, or you can turn it into an encounter if you want to have the players be responsible for the creation of some of these potions. We even have potion-themed locations, including a potion shop with 2 different stories and a whole set of maps, so you can go to each of the layers of the potion shop, different vendors that are profiled with full inventory lists, a school where you can learn to craft potions and experience various encounters and adventures. And then we've got magical plants and things that you can craft, harvest and craft your potions with. So tons and tons of stuff. The whole point of the Potions Unlocked, or any of the unlocked titles that we're going to do, is to really take something and take it to its limit, give you everything you could ever want, to be the authority on that topic almost, and just really deep dive. Our Swarms book is the same thing. It's anything you could ever want on Swarms. So if you're getting these books, we feel like you're going to have everything you could ever ask for that topic, and that's our goal for you, because we really want the money to go as far as it can, because we do try to keep our prices reasonable, and then by giving you everything we can, we're helping you have that for far into the future. You're going to have the ability to have potions or swarms or whatever our topic is come to your aid at your table. So we hope you'll support us and check out all these awesome titles. Feel free to ask questions in the comments or anywhere if you're interested and unsure. I'm always here to help you. But no matter what, I hope you're clicking links, supporting creators, whether it's us or the others out there, because this is an awesome industry. We're so proud to be part of the TTRPG space, and we appreciate you. So now let's move on to the other site and their new releases. Our first drive-through title of the week is By This Axe, the Cyclopedia of Dwarven Civilization. And it's already a bestseller seller, meaning it's sold over 101 copies in its first week. It's by Autark. It's $20 for 273 pages, and it has a bunch of authors, including Alexander Macris, Daniel Hicks, Matt Jarnack, Dee McGrain, and Darren Wheeler. And it's basically everything you ever wanted to know about dwarves and their civilization, their culture, all that stuff. So you get the secrets of the great and proud race of dwarves, compiled, codified, and curated for use in your favorite old school fantasy role-playing game. To me, I also looked at this. I think you could probably use it for 5th edition, because it's just primarily a lot of lore. So I think you could integrate that into a 5th edition campaign as well. So I see a lot of value in this, and it's stunning in terms of how it looks. So it's got an introduction, details, background for the book. Then it goes into an overview of the ethnicity, physiology, language, and customs of dwarves. Then it goes into dwarven characters and explains how to roll a dwarven character in any one of the 6 racial classes. So that part is more OSR, right? But you could still glean some information in there to apply to a 5th edition situation. You got dwarven templates. It says provides 8 pre-generated templates for each character class in this book. You've got dwarven earth forging, details a new style of magic wielded by the earth forger class, whose innate talents have allowed them to channel the power within materials to reshape their form. You've got automatons, which presents rules for designing, building, and repairing clockwork and steampunk type machines. So again, that might be more geared towards OSR and similar products, but that's okay. Again, I think there's always value in taking information out of books like this for other, even outside of D&D. You could use a lot of the information in this book. So, and a lot of you play OSR, so if you play OSR, you're good to go. All right, so Dwarven Domains explains how your Dwarven characters can establish themselves as rulers of their own domains and realms. That would be fun. You've got Dwarven Mining, rules on how to include mining for precious metals and quarrying. Myoculture details the secret methods of mushroom farming, which seems appropriate. They spend a lot of time underground, right? They might go into the Underdark or somewhere and just work on getting some of those mushrooms, because a lot of these mushrooms in these fantasy settings have magical properties, right? Or even just normal properties that are good. You've got Dwarven Relics, so a catalog of over 35 rare and powerful Dwarven Relics. So tons of stuff. It is geared towards Axe, which is one of the OSR systems, but again, Old School Essentials, all those other ones, I'm sure it'll work just fine with. And I think a crafty DM can convert this to either, another fantasy system or 5th edition, because it's just so well done. Look at this artwork. It is just beautiful, and the layout is so nice. So you can see, getting right into the lore, physiology. You get to see 39 pages, so you've got a lot to look through before you decide to make the purchase. Here's a whole section on the alphabet, how to pronounce the consonants. You don't get a lot of this in 5th edition from Wizards. They've kind of toned a lot of that down so that you can interpret it how you want. So it's nice to have third parties giving us some of this detail, so that if you want to go deep into speaking Dwarvish, you can do it. All right, so you got grammar and the morphology. So, the linguistics part of me loves this. Sentence structure, verb conjugation. Everything you can want. Vocabulary. We've seen pages now on the language, which is awesome. That's a great way to bring a culture to life in a fantasy game, is to have a bunch of material on the language, and just try to, even if you just sprinkle it in, doesn't mean you have to give an epic monologue in Dwarvish, although that would be epic. You can just sprinkle it in, have it in as an inscription, or just have it be like the opening line, and then have the character switch to speaking Common or something, right? So having a book like this, you're going to be able to do that. And that language is independent of system, right? So I told you this book is going to be valuable whether you're playing OSR or 5th edition or whatever. You've got naming conventions, tons of suggestions with names. I always love those. I end up making little tables out of these things and then rolling up names for NPCs. You've got customs, social structure, guild information. It's just really nice. Domains, realms, aesthetics and art, architecture and engineering. Every aspect of Dwarven life is going to be covered in here from what I'm seeing, even going into domesticated animals and how they deal with that. There's a page and a half on that. So how they're dealing with bovines, canines, equines, and ursines. What more could you cover? It's got it all. I love that. So thorough. Fashion and grooming, bathing, their beards and their hair, their clothing and their jewelry. I think just reading this would just be so fun. I got to get this and read it. I wish there was a hardcover, because I think this would be a really fun book to just sit down and read from cover to cover and just soak in all this Dwarvish culture. This is great for DMs, right? To create campaigns and all of that stuff. But imagine if you like to play dwarves in any of the settings and games that are out there, right? You could sit here and read this and you could start speaking some dwarvish, you could start representing their culture. Now, you don't want to be like a rules lawyer about their culture with your DM, but you could at least bring some of that flavor and flair to your characters if you tend to play a lot of dwarves, or even just want to play a dwarf for the first time and you don't want to screw it up. Maybe you have somebody in your party that's like a hardcore dwarf. They've been playing that dwarf for, every campaign they're playing a dwarf, and they have their their shtick that they do. So you want to make sure you represent and you can hold your own. This might be a way to do it. So I just see tons of value. We always like to talk about on the show the different value propositions for these books. So a lot of times on the survey, oh, it's just this. Well, I like to tell you what else it is so that you can really say, okay, if I'm going to spend $20 on this, what are all the different values I'm getting out of it? And I'm seeing here a ton of options for using this. So let's find a section to read. So for centuries, the stout and cunning dwarven people have delved vast vaults in the Menagerie and jutting mountains, gathering rich ores and creating enduring works of stone and iron. Today, the dwarves are an embattled race, fighting a never-ending war against the fast-breeding beastmen that have invaded their tunnels. Dwindling in number, barely clinging to the last of their holdings, dwarves are rarely seen by mankind. Those that do mingle with men are almost always adventurers of some sort. So that's a great little intro to a setting and how the dwarves are positioned in that setting. I love that. Very well written. You got history, ethnicity. Let me find another section to read. I want to kind of jump forward and read so you're getting a good sampling. But I hope you come here and look. I mean, they're giving you a generous assortment of 39 pages. So it looks like the word trock, I may be pronouncing it wrong, it refers to something that's dried and preserved. Tord represents a glacier. Stow is soup or broth. So you can see how you can get some words out of this to use. So it says members of the Oathsworn, Craftborn, and Workborn castes are divided into many guilds, through which occupational customs, methods, and traditions are transmitted from generation to generation. By caste, the Oathsworn guilds I have already mentioned, as they are the various military, mechanical, and mystical orders of the vaults. These include the craft priests, earth forgers, furies, furnace wives, machinists, and vault guards. The Craftborn have guilds for apothecaries, archivists, architects, armorers, blacksmiths, brewers, etc. The Workborn guilds include the drovers, who herd livestock up and down the mountain slopes, the miners who toil in the tunnels and shafts in pursuit of metal and gems, the mushroom farmers who work the great fungus fields inside the vaults, and the terrace farmers who reap and sow crops in the great stepped fields the dwarves hide atop the mountain. So this book is so thorough. I mean, they are just covering it all. They've got it all figured out with their caste system for the dwarves. I love it. So much detail. Okay, let's find a section to read. It says, the vault is the center of dwarven life, much as the polis was the center of Nicaean life during the era of the Oran League. Virtually all highborn and oathsworn dwarves and the wealthier and better established craftborn dwarves live within the vault itself. Most craftborn and virtually all workborn dwell in small delvings near the vault, where they work the farms, manufactories, and mines that the vault protects. Each vault is ruled by a hereditary lord or lady who traces their ancestry to the vault's founder. In cases where the founding line is extinguished and a new ruler takes over, the new ruler will be retroactively acclaimed as a reincarnation of some ancient lord of the appropriate bloodline. As always, it is difficult to tell if the dwarves sincerely believe this or if it is merely a pragmatic means of maintaining appearances. Probably the answer is both. So yeah, they've thought of everything. I think this is just so rich with lore and information. And there is mechanics in here. We've talked about it. There's an earth forging class. There's automatons. There's how to set up your own domains and manage those. There's relics. So you are going to get some OSR mechanical leaning things. But as you saw, I mean, we looked at 39 pages of just pure information, and it's great because this is a 273-page book. I think it's well worth the price, especially if you have dwarves in your setting or you intend to play a dwarf either now or in the future. So I would recommend picking this up. It's called Buy the Axe, or Buy This Axe. It's in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Game Master's Guide to Traps and Terrors from MageGate Games, $14.99 for 128 pages. And it says it's for use with 5th edition, but also can be used for OSR and Pathfinder. It says, do you want to thrill and terrify your players with traps? Then this book is for you. Here we explore traps and how they can be used by heroes and villains alike. So there's 80 detailed trap designs, including variations. You get 100 plus magic and mechanical options to stack on top of any trap. You get traps that are designed for the battlefield, castles, dungeons, temples, urban settings, and even the wilderness. And then you get information on construction time and cost so that players can build traps as well. So really, really fun. I mean, traps are kind of neglected a lot of times, so it's cool to see a book that gives you 128 pages devoted to them. So here you have an index of the traps and the pages that they're on. So, you know, we're going all the way from Acid Cauldron all the way down to, it looks like Wall of Spike and Bones, Wall of Radiance. So a lot of different traps in this book. And they're separated into types. So you've got, you know, battlefield, castle, siege type traps or wilderness cave traps, etc. So perfect for that. And I'm sure some of these could be migrated from one setting to another, but it's nice to have an area that's suggested. So this first one is the Acid Cauldron. So we're going to look through that one in detail, and you can see it starts here on this page and it continues all the way down. So you're getting 2 pages on this trap. Where else can you get that? I don't know of any other place. I've seen books on traps, but they didn't give you 2 pages on a trap usually, unless it was more of like a puzzle book where they're just giving you like a few. So very cool. Acid Cauldron is a mechanical trap. This trap consists of a large metal cauldron concealed in a pit or at the end of a chute. The cauldron is filled with an acidic substance such as acid or caustic alkaline. The substance may be calm or it may bubble, boil, and steam even before it has made contact with the victim. Regardless, it has an acrid chemical stench. And then it gives you some related traps. The trigger, it says, the trap is triggered by a creature or object that enters its area of effect. It says to spot it, can be detected with a perception check when it's unconcealed. When it's concealed, it may not be detectable except by smell through perception, or but even if it is noticed, the trap's location may be hard to determine with an investigation check. To disarm, this trap can only be disarmed by a creature emptying the acid cauldron. Once disarmed, it remains so until the cauldron is refilled with acid or similar substance. However, most cauldrons are securely bolted to the floor to prevent accidents. Some may be chained in place to a beam in the ceiling and thus limited in what direction they can pour. So that's an area where the DM kind of has to decide, is it bolted down? Is it able to be tipped over, etc.? You don't have to decide that until the players try to do it, but it is something to think about. Dimensions: due to the cost and dangers involved in transporting the acid to the trap location, many acid traps are only 5 feet wide and 5 feet deep, about the size of a typical industrial cauldron. The next most common design is 10 feet wide by 10 feet deep. But larger versions do exist. It says they can be used a limitless number of times as long as it remains full of acid. To reset it, it takes a single creature 1 hour to safely and slowly refill the cauldron with acid, or a team of 2 or more half that time. Effect: falling creatures take the normal bludgeoning damage per 10 feet fallen, plus an extra bludgeoning damage from ramming into the hard metal cauldron. If the trap is triggered by chute, instead, sliding creatures take bludgeoning damage from hitting the cauldron, regardless of how long or angled the chute that delivered them into the cauldron is. The liquid inside varies depending on who set it up. The acid can corrode most objects, destroying them if not protected by magical or non-magical means of protection. Once in the cauldron, a creature's takes acid damage for every round they remain inside, regardless of whether it is fully or partially submerged. So This tells you what's in it. So it could be lye, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, or nitric acid. And it says you take 1d4 acid damage per round. And then, you know, goes through all the details of saving throws and, you know, what happens as you go through the rounds. If it's lye, and then hydrochloric, and then sulfuric and nitric, etc. And then it gets into some options. If you'd like to customize this trap, choose from the options below or pick from the 100 plus stackable options in the back of the book. So shoot versus pit delivery. If it was a shoot trap that delivered the creature into the acid instead of a pit, a successful dex saving throw will allow a creature in the cauldron to pull itself back out onto the chute, unless there's a you know, metal grill that closes behind them. And then another option is sympathetic magic. All acid and water magic cast within 30 feet of an acid cauldron has its DC increased by +1 and deals an extra 1d4 acid damage. So these are options that you can layer on top of the trap to make it different, especially if you're going to have a dungeon full of traps or you're going to use this a lot. It's nice to mix it up. It gives you construction time and cost information if your players want to build such a trap. And that's just the first one. I mean, how much information is that? That's a lot of information. And then you get into the Alchemist's Inferno, and then you get the Alcove of Illusion. So, you know, it depends. They're not all going to have 2 pages. It just depends on the trap, right, and the information. So this one's like a page and a quarter. And then you got the Ankle Biter. You're going to get all that information with each of them. Now it just depends on how long, as to how many pages, but that's not what's important. It's that you're getting all of these things: the trigger, how to spot it, how to disarm it, what its size is, how many times you can use it, how to reset it, what the effects are, all the variations, etc. And, you know, at the end of the book, they have these additional like effects that you can layer on top, you know, mechanical and magical options. There's 100 of them. So you can mix and match and make these traps your own. I really think this is an exciting title. I think they've covered all the bases. I feel like with the different headings, they're basically saying we want to make sure we don't miss anything, so that if a question comes up about how to reset this trap, maybe you have a trap in your dungeon, you didn't think about the players wanting to use it to trap the villain. And so they're asking, how do I reset it? And you didn't plan for that. With this book, you don't have to. It's already there. So look for it in the video description links. It's under Game Master's Guide to Traps and Terrors. Give it a click. Next, we have Hushed Hills from Immersive Adventuring for $3.95 for 9 pages. Nicola Luberick is the author, and it says doubles as an adventure location and toolbox to support running gothic horror adventures. You got 50 encounters that maintain a balance of combat, exploration, roleplay, and skill challenges. You get 3 high-resolution regional maps. You get 3 multi-phased boss battles, 21 NPC outlines and portraits, and then 4 quests that tie the encounters, regions, boss battles, and NPCs together. So you can see that you get illustrations for all the NPCs, you get the maps, you get the backgrounds of what's going on, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty fun. So I'm going to just scroll real quick to the map, and then we'll come back up and look at more of this. But I want to show you kind of how Immersive does the encounters. You get a point on the map that only the DM can see, because there's variations of these maps without all this writing on it, of course, right? You get what type of encounter it is. So this E means it's an exploration on this first encounter in the upper left here. And then you get the scene, the goal, the details. So the scene is the main building has a chapter house, dormitory, kitchen, and refectory. Next to it is a tower and a church is across the garden. Goal: climb the tower and observe the region. Details: taking the view unlocks map A. Viewers examine Alfred's mansion, which is number 16, and the dead elder tree, number 18. The church contains a set of relics dedicated to the ideal of sacrifice. So yeah, this is just an exploration goal, right? But you can see within there's a separate goal. Number 3, there's and a number 2 that's right in front of it. So you can go through and have these little encounters. And this one is role play and exploration. This one's role play. Then down here you've got, for number 4, you've got a combat. Yeah, so lots of options. Skill 1 over here for number 5. So plenty to do, and they're all tied to the map. Easy to reference as you're going through it. And then you even got some NPC information down here in the lower part of the map. So I can see how this is going to be pretty straightforward to run, easy to just have a screen up with that map, or print that page out, etc. So it says Hushed Hills is an adventure location set in a haunted town nestled in hilly woodlands. It doubles as a toolbox with encounters and NPCs to support DMs in running a gothic horror adventure. You can run it as a tier 1 adventure that takes 1, 2, or 3 5-hour sessions. You would use the quests for that. You can select the best encounters and NPCs to add to your own homebrew setting, or you can use the presented content as fuel to just inspire you. So yeah, you can pick and choose, just pluck little things out of here, place them into your homebrew campaign, like that little building we looked at previously, or you can run the whole thing. So always nice to see options. So here's the overarching quest. It says select the main quest to tie the regions into adventure. And then it's got good, lawful, neutral, neutral. So godless slayers, the angel Gabriella, who is a diva, contacts the party and states that an eldritch evil has risen near Kletva. She does not know about the chimeras and requests that the party root out all traces of the wicked. She rewards the party with a divine weapon and a boon. So then you would start at point 2 on the map, and then you would explore A, B, and C, slay the chimeras D, E, and F, and restore the seals 48, 49, and 50. So guides you through like kind of your overarching quest. So this is how to take the maps and all the numbered locations and kind of string something together to create a campaign. Under neutral, there's one called Pilgrims. The party arrives to the Abbey to visit its relics and the countryside. They spend a few days exploring Crestfall Abbey and assisting its residents. Sister Margaret sends them on an errand to town where they find an old friend that is looking for her brother. So it tells you where to start, and then you explore Kletva to find Joshua, returning to the Abbey to aid with chores and protecting the Abbey from the avians. So doesn't seem like there's a ton of overlap with all of these, so you could maybe do even several of these objectives, but you can see how the maps kind of fit together down here. And then it talks about understanding the entries and how it works and how to build horror adventures with good pacing. The one thing I always like about immersive is they think about the beats, and so they say use downward, which was the minus sign, beats to increase tension, and upward, plus or positive beats to reduce it. So when you're looking again at the map like we were earlier, you can see like here in the upper left there's a plus sign right next to that one, and then there's a plus sign to this one, and this one's a plus minus, so it's kind of neutral, and then there's a minus down here for number 4. So that's telling you whether it's going to rise the tension or lower the tension, etc. That's really helpful because you do want a mix of that. If it's just all uprising or down swings, you know, it's going to be just a one note adventure. You need to mix it up. So appreciate that and all the other good stuff in here. So check it out. It's under Hushed Hills in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Remarkable Guilds and their heroes from Loresmith, or maybe Loresmith. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Please let me know, because Loresmith or Loresmith is one of my favorite third-party publishers. The authors on this are JVC Perry and Ashton Baker, and it's $15, 195 pages, and it says Remarkable Guilds and Their Heroes is the ultimate GM guide on role-playing heroic fantasy factions. The system-neutral sourcebook is compatible with any fantasy role-playing game rule set and contains everything you need to create and role-play your own unique heroic guilds. It is the 4th in the best-selling series. I purchased one of the other ones, I think Remarkable Shops, and I think I have in hardcover, and then I have one of the other ones I think as PDF, probably Remarkable Cults. I don't remember. I get so many books, especially doing this show. People send me stuff. All right, so but their work is always so great. I'm always enjoying Loresmith's stuff. And I hope you're going to check it out because it's such high quality. They have a video on it. It says this brand new book brings you exciting, intriguing, and complex noble factions, as well as the tools to create your own, which is so great. This includes valiant leaders and their followers, rumors, new gameplay ideas, services, information on working for guilds, gaining ranks and followers, and much, much more. So it's not just about typical guilds, but instead delights the imagination with a wide range of organizations and factions that fight for the greater good. So yeah, we've seen a lot of books on guilds, but this one has more of a focus on noble factions and how to create your own, and also being oriented towards doing good things. So they could do a sequel on evil or some other, angle if they wanted to. And I love that it's system neutral, because that means you can use it with Pathfinder and Powered by the Apocalypse and like any other system as well. And 195 pages is awesome. So anyway, looking inside, you get sort of an overview of things, and then it gets right into the guilds. So you've got the Benevolent Brewers Society, the Company of Living Tales, the Draconic Smiths, the Scholars of Antiquity, the Frontier Greenmounts, the Order of the Serene Fist, and lots more. And then you get this bringing your guilds to life. So you get what's the wealth and resources, what's their influence and disposition, what's the training they offer, and travel and transportation, all of that. So it's a lot of information. I mean, this is from page 70 all the way to 114. How to build your own guild. That's great. Or bringing them. Or no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. This is how to portray a guild, like the ins and outs of like the wealth and resources and dealing with, training and how to get into it. Then they get into how to create your own guild. So starting at 118 and going to 133. So again, a lot of pages to get you set up so you can figure out what type of guild you're going to have, the size and wealth, the backstory, and then a whole nother section on player operated guilds. So how do they plan? How do they build? How do they operate? And what's the end game for building such a thing? And then there's a exalted item creator and some fabled relics. And then maps for guild headquarters. I mean, this covers it all. This is really comprehensive. I love this. I gotta get this book at some point. I'd love to get a hardcover. I don't see it on here. Maybe maybe they have one somewhere that you can order. But anyway, it looks really cool. Look, like the artwork is just great. So this is the Remarkable Guilds. So I mean, look at that beautiful artwork of this bard. I love all the sort of glowing illustrations inside the cloak or the cape. So anyway, you get the Benevolent Brewers Society. You have the wealth, a chart showing how much wealth they have, the resources, and their defense. So it looks like they're low on defense, but this is good because you can find some that are high on defense, etc. Authority, very high. So services, custom brewing, brokering meetings, diplomacy. They're not too fond of fighters, assassins, and criminals, but they are fond of bards, dwarves, and halflings. So you get a little quote, then you get the intro, and then it talks about the different aspects of the guild, a lot of history, and then you get the individual key players, and then the ranks and services that they offer within the guild, and then it talks about your rank and what your responsibilities are, and then some of the things that they sell, and then some quests. I mean, this is so comprehensive. Like everything you could need for this guild is here, and then you can just move on to the next guild and get what you need from that one. So it's just, I can't imagine you're going to read this and go, I wish it had this or that. It's got to have pretty much everything you need. It even gives you the a full profile on presumably the leader. So yeah. Bolster, Bronzeborn is a gregarious, boisterous, and charismatic leader. So yes, definitely all the details on the leader. But as I said, they're giving you a bunch of members. So the services, they offer custom brewing. In addition to their usual array of delicious drinks, the brewers can brew unique custom beverages with positive magical effects, such as enhancing courage, increasing charisma, healing the drinker, or bestowing flight upon the imbiber. These enchanted libations are typically made by either a guild tapper or alchemist who is careful to balance magical ingredients against more mundane reagents. And that's just one thing. They broker meetings, they do toast making, drinking halls, stuff like that. But let's come back up here. It says, on the surface, the Society of Benevolent Brewers is a guild of distillers, alchemists, and artificers who supply taverns and bars across the mortal realm with their signature drinks. Though the sale of its famous beverages has been incredibly profitable, the guild has another subtler side to it. The brewers are heavily involved with realm-wide politics, especially diplomacy and peacemaking. The guild hosts private summits where opposing houses are brought together warring factions are united and bloody feuds are ended. So, and that makes sense because you would, want to toast and sort of break bread together to resolve some conflicts. So having these brewers that are making all the drinks and things involved is a smart choice, because they would definitely facilitate things like this if they had a guild like this oriented this way. So I think it's pretty cool. And then it shows you, if you're a tapper, you learn the craft of brewing and alchemy from higher ranking members. If you're a boiler, you're making contacts and collecting information about powerful individuals and factions. So you're getting it's showing you all the ranks and kind of where you would be if you were an NPC as part of this guild. I'm sure a player could be too, but they're probably going to be too busy adventuring. Then you got some quests, like it says, Kingdom in Crisis. After a recent spate of bad rulership, the Kingdom of Sinfair is in dire straits. The newly crowned King 𝙁𝙗𝙗, the inheritor, has enacted new laws that prevent certain races from owning businesses, walking the streets of major cities at night, and learning magic. Those persecuted by these laws have begun to rebel against King 𝙁𝙗𝙗, and the clashes between the rebels and the crown have escalated almost to the point of civil war. In addition, the instability in Sinfair has caused some of its more ruthless neighbors to plan invasions to annex parts of the kingdom. The Society of Benevolent Brewers is looking for agents to help broker a meeting between the rebels and the king, but any attempt at forging peace will have to overcome both sides' mutual distrust. Upon speaking to both sides, the agents may learn that 𝙁𝙗𝙗 was pressured into passing the new laws to legitimize his claim to the throne by several powerful nobles, while the rebels are torn between the revolution and reconciliation. So these are good little plot starters. You might have to introduce some characters like King 𝙁𝙗𝙗 or some of the others, or maybe change some of the names. But I love that. I love that, they've gone so far as to give you not only the background of the guild and everything you need to run it, but ways to start some adventures. I mean, it's just so well done. And so you can see the next guild here, the Company of Living Tales. So it's a traveling band of bards and storytellers. Perfect. That could be a great tie to a bard in your party. You can see all the awesome stuff they have. Similar structure. You're getting all that information on what they do, what they're up to, and who's in the guild. Love this. I mean, whether it's just a situation where you have a bard in the party and you want to connect them to some sort of faction, and you use that one we just looked at briefly, or whether you want to have a whole adventure where the characters are, maybe they're staying with the guild, they've been hired by the guild to do protection work, or one of the players or NPCs is working for the guild, whatever it is. You have options here. Even if let's say you've built a huge homebrew campaign, you've gone crazy just populating every little piece of your map, and you're just exhausted, and you're like, I need factions, but I don't want to homebrew them. This book's going to do it for you. Just open the book, pick the different guilds, put them in your city, decide where they live, put them on your map, look at some of the hooks and change some of the names, or change some of the names that you have in your homebrew setting to match the hooks, and off you go. I mean, you just can't go wrong with this book. I'm really excited about it. It's going to go on my wish list. So pick up a copy. It's in the links below under Remarkable Guilds and Their Heroes. Give it a click. Next, we have Secret Societies by Beyond the Screen. $7 for 23 pages. Authors Aviad Tal, Sachar Bieber, and Daniel Beveridge. And we just talked about guilds. Now, another type of faction is secret societies. So, you could get this book and bring some secret societies to life on your campaign, whether it's homebrew or off-the-shelf campaign. It says, from monks that inspire hope in the lowliest of slums to cultists that worship an entity older than time, these societies operate undisturbed under the mantle of secrecy and pursue their clandestine agendas. So the first one gives you kind of an overview of the Celavast setting, which we've seen from Beyond the Screen a few times, and it seems like a really fun kind of Kaladesh-like setting. And you've got Secret Societies in Chapter 2, which gives you 3 secret organizations: the Cult of the Sleepless, the Noxel, and the Custodians of the Floating Heart. Each has its own agenda NPCs, story seeds, and creature stat blocks. So here you go. You got Cult of the Sleepless, their leadership, including a generic stat block for somebody in that cult. I love that. You need those to just quickly, you never know when a fight's going to break out, and maybe somebody's standing there that happens to be in the cult. So having a stat block ready to go is super helpful. And then you've got some story seeds in here. And then looks like something called Somniacs, which might be a creature, a CR2 creature related to what's going on there. Then you've got some information on the Custodians of the Floating Heart down here, their story seeds, and then several stat blocks for members of that group. So love that. So let's go back up and read about the Sleepless a little bit. It says, the followers of the Sleepless invite the wretched of Seluvath to turn their wishes into reality. They gather in secret to share stories of their benevolent patron and encourage would-be dreamers to prove their worth. Those who show interest are tested, and the few who pass are taken to the dark depths of the gullet to meet their new Aboleth patron. So yeah, this could be really something that you're dealing with. Maybe there's some mysteries surrounding it, and you have to figure out what's going on, because this doesn't seem all up front about what's happening. It says, even the dreamers find it difficult to determine the true intentions of the Sleepless. Some tasks have obvious agendas like obtaining magic items or locating potential recruits. Other jobs make less sense, like finding the name of a state official's great-grandfather or pilfering an old document from the resplendent archives. Whatever the tasks entail, the Sleepless assures its followers they are of the utmost importance, and the cultists treat them as such without hesitation. So, yeah, the mystery, unraveling this will be cool. It says the Sleepless swims in the deep trenches of the gullet, contemplating lost eras of this world. Its memory stretches back through all of the ages of Eleanor. It remembers a time before Seluvath was built, a time before the wars of gods and primordials. Back then, the Sleepless still swam in these waters, although they had a different name under the rule of the Aboleth Empire. The great city of Zarlanthaxu was destroyed by the gods millennia ago, but the Sleepless remembers it vividly, and the Sleepless does not forgive. So, tons of history and lore here. I love it. After meeting the Sleepless, dreamers begin a slow process of transformation. Their friends and families rarely notice anything out of the ordinary at first. But after a while, their friends and families begin to question their sanity, and some try to intervene. So yeah, things are going to go sideways, because this Somniacs, who I believe is the Sleepless, I'm guessing, it enslaves and gives psychic feedback. So pretty cool. Yeah, let's see. Are the story seeds? Okay, it says the runaway. 5 days ago, 13-year-old Jaromir disappeared. His mother, Zoya, who lives in a small apartment in the Damwater district, claims he was not there when she woke up this morning. So you're going to have to figure out where this 13-year-old disappeared, and it's going to tie back to the Sleepless, because it says prior to that he was acting strange, distant, as if something bothered him, though he never spoke of it. Zoya believes he was in trouble with some crater gang and that they have kidnapped him, but his room shows no signs of struggle, and his little sister slept through it. But yeah, this is quite a long hook. It's going to give you a lot of information, but they end up in the caves of the Gullet and trying to find this missing 13-year-old amidst this cult of the Sleepless. So yeah, lots of fun to be had here. I think that's so well detailed, these secret societies and cults in here, and you can just never have enough of those. If you need to fill a one shot, this is perfect. Keep the players in town. Introduce this mystery that they have to go, into the depths to find this gullet. Go into the gullet or whatever and find this Sleepless patron and deal with that. And then when the next session happens and you've got all your players back, you can go out of the city because you just kind of stayed there dealing with this situation in between. So you just, even as player backstories, there's so many uses for this, and what a great cover with awesome art as usual from Beyond the Screen. So check it out under Secret Societies in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Sidequest Annual 1 from Icarus Games. I actually purchased the hardcover to this when it was on offer. I think it was a Kickstarter or something, and they had some late backer pledging going on, so I'm going to get mine soon. for this, but it's just looks really fun. It's a monthly magazine, kind of like Dragon and Dungeon used to be, but it's for 5th edition, and this is the annual where they're bringing together all the first year of issues into one volume. So all the goodies that were in issue 1 through 12 are going to be in here, updated, organized, so that you can get 190 pages of 5th edition content. So you get 7 fantastic locations for your campaign, 2 full classes, including the rebuilt Ranger, the Wild, and the Witch. And then you get 8 subclasses, 8 new monsters, and 11 monster templates, 2 factions, 2 short adventures, 28 new magic items, 17 spells, 10 feats, and then expanded mechanics, including new conditions, weapon properties, and downtime rules, world building articles, including pantheons, dealing with the apocalypse, naming fantastic locations, etc., and even GM advice on how to run horror themed games or remaking the 5e economy, planning campaigns, etc. And then you get digital maps and monster tokens with this as well. So very, very cool. It's $30. And as I said, 190 pages. But yeah, I mean, a year of putting out the magazine, and now you've got all of it coming together into one volume to make it really easy to reference all the materials. I like magazines, but they can be hard to sort of find things in. So when I saw this, that it was going to be all combined into one, I was like, this is perfect for me, because then I'm not flipping through a bunch of issues. I'm just I've got it all together in one place. So yeah, I'm excited to get my hardcover copy. So yeah, you've got your class here. So this is a rebuilt Ranger. So they've tweaked how the Ranger works. So you can read a little bit about that in the preview they've got here. But yeah, it's a complete rebuild. It says, for many, the Ranger is one of the more underwhelming classes in 5e, and the goal of this rework is to form the class to be something more distinct. When many think of a Ranger, they think of Aragorn, they think of the Men of the Night's Watch, or they think of Geralt of Rivia. These stoic warriors who live on the fringes of civilization, protecting it from the beasts that threaten the realm. The problem is that the base Ranger class doesn't do a good job of achieving this, so the goal of this redesign is making a Ranger that lives up to this ideal and has its own unique skill sets. So, cool. I'm not going to dive into all of this. I want you to come read this, but it's nice that they have an option for you. But you can see some really cool campaign stuff in here, too. You've got some maps. It says this city-state of 𝙗 started life as part of how to make a homebrew campaign series of videos on the Icarus Games YouTube channel, and eventually went on to be the setting that they do their campaign in. So since its creation, people have wanted to see more information about it so they can incorporate the locations, etc., into their own. So you're going to get all of that here. It's a gazetteer that gives you a ton of information. It says 𝙗 was once a vast empire united under the Great Caliph. For generations, the bloodline of the Great Caliph defended 𝙗 and brought her prosperity. The dynasty of the Great Caliph ended with a bloody civil war after Caliph Hamid was poisoned by his sorcerer Murid, who tried to steal power. The ensuing war lasted for nearly 30 years and saw bloodlines that held power for thousands of years wiped out almost overnight. In the aftermath of the war, 𝙗 was no longer unified. The great cities became independent states that controlled the nearby land, and the vast wilderness between city-states was abandoned to the war bands and roaming beasts of the Sea of the Sand. That sounds like a fun setup. I mean, you've got a lot of rich history, yeah, I think it could be a lot of fun. I mean, look at this. You get all these little maps that show you little pieces of it, where things are. And then you get the city-states themselves here, as well as just a lot of detail. So this is cool. It says, the power in 𝙗 now resides in the city-states. Since the fall of the Great Caliphs, nearly all major events in 𝙗 have concerned these city-states. So there's Almus, the city of glass. Almus was established by a group of dragonborn fleeing persecution. They built the first buildings of the city by superheating the sand of the desert into glass. Now Almus acts as a safe haven for those seeking a refuge from human persecution. Love that. What a great setup. You can have persecution going on. You can have the city that sort of rose out of the sand being superheated into glass. I mean, that's some interesting stuff. So, as long as you're careful, you got to be careful with persecution stories, as long as you're careful and you run that, I think that could be really interesting. Maybe if the party includes some humans, and they save almas, they can kind of show that not all humans are persecute, and that they can maybe help each other and work together to spread the message that, hey, stop persecuting. I don't know. Lots of options, I'm sure. You've got Hera, the Jewel of the Gulf. Hera was once the capital of Ashk and was the seat of power in the final days of Caliph's rule. Hera is a cosmopolitan city filled with peoples from all over the world, something which has only been intensified since the Parthian Empire conquered the city. And then you've got Mahit, the city of the dead, in the heart of the Sea of the Sand, miles from the nearest water source. Mahit stands alone. The city is ruled by the Kahim Kabar, otherwise known as the Grave Priests, servants of the goddess of death. Most menial tasks in the city are performed by undead that have been raised for the task, and the living in the city rely on gifts brought by pilgrims wishing to visit the holy city. So yeah, lots of distinct locations, right? Mahit is very different than Almas and Hera, right there, but they all have kind of a feel to them that makes them distinct. And I could see where this would be a really fun one, because you've got these sort of undead servants, and they've become dependent on them, and maybe something goes wrong, and the undead servants start dying, and it's like, what happens? What happens next? How do we either restore the servants or get used to standing on our own? So just tons of material. I mean, we're just scratching the surface. I mean, I read this list: 8 subclasses, 2 sword adventures, 28 magic items. I mean, we just read some of the locations, the locations to add to your campaign, and a little bit about the ranger. So there's tons more waiting for you in the 190 pages. So I hope you check it out. It's in the video description links under Sidequest Annual 1. Give it a click. Next, we have Visions of the Oracle player options for 5th edition from Underground Oracle Publishing, on sale for $15.99, normally $19.99. Authors Jess Pendley and Keith Pendley, and it's 120 pages, and it's got archetypes, lineages, feats, spells, and backgrounds. And so you get 5 lineages with fully fleshed out cultures and abilities, 13 backgrounds to provide your characters with fresh new origins, 34 feats to show how your character has grown and developed during their adventures, 44 archetypes that provide new mechanics and flavors for all the SRD classes, which is the core classes, 94 spells, including an entirely new school of blood magic. So looking inside, you can see all the options. I mean, look at how many archetypes you've got. 4 for the barbarian, 4 for the bard, 3 for clerics, 3 for druids, 5 for fighter, 4 for monks. I mean, tons of stuff. Really cool. Yeah, I mean, everything you could want here. I mean, Path of the Hoof and Horn, College of the Celestial Chorus, Circle of Civilization, the Sea Witch, School of the Rower, School of the Rover. And then you've got lineages, so the Dagari, Elowin, Marabou, Satyr, and Shandau. So those are like races. And then backgrounds: Adventure from Afar, Apothecary Assistant, Awakened Being, Born Under a Bad Sign, Child Hero. Yeah, that could be fun. Maybe you were a child hero and you have a reputation to live up to. Maybe you accidentally became like a big deal when you were a kid, and so now you've got this reputation. I'm not sure. I could be misinterpreting what that is, but it sounds kind of like that. You got some spells and feats. So past adventures, new horizons, introduction, and then you get right into the archetypes. So you get to see the whole book here. That's impressive that you get to look at every single subclass. You get to look at the spells. So I'm just going to zoom out so we can just do a quick scroll, so you can just see how much. I mean, there's a high percentage of artwork in here. It's so great that you get to look at everything. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's a cool looking crown. And yeah, all these different subclasses, and then you got your races here, and then you've got some spells, backgrounds, all sorts of stuff. Maybe we can find the child hero in here and see if I'm right with my assumption about what it is. But yeah, it sounds pretty fun. Let's see, Born Under Bad Sign. And then, oh, here, child hero. As a child, whether as a result of destiny, circumstance, or blind luck, you overcame impossible odds and defeated a great evil. Perhaps you outwitted a malevolent wizard or single-handedly felled a bloodthirsty cyclops. No matter the specifics of your exact villain, your extraordinary victory has marked you. Since then, you may have attempted to settle into a quiet life, tending your family's business or attending an academy. Maybe your battle has haunted you, driving you away from society or into constant training in preparation for whatever may come next. Perhaps you have only found relief in the arms of vice and escapism. However, you decided to live your remaining adolescence. Fate has beckoned you forward once again. And then you get, investigation perception. You get proficiencies with land vehicles, language of your choice, and equipment. So yeah, I was right. It was some kid that has happened to defeat a great evil, and now you're being drawn to it again. And as I said, you could play with your reputation and, whether you're going to live up to, greatness. Did you peak early? And now it's all downhill. You can't really do anything to eclipse what you're famous for, so many things to deal with. And then it says, whether you embrace what happened to you or shirk being the center of attention, you may have made a lifelong friend and companion who will never stop believing in you. You gain the loyalty of an NPC that has faithfully been by your side since you defeated the evil. They may have aided you in your initial victory or were witness to your tremendous act of valor. Your companion will endanger themselves to protect you and extend their resources to assist you in the ways that they can. Work with your GM to determine the specifics of this NPC. And then you talk about what the great evil is, and then you go through the personality traits, bonds, ideals, flaws, all the usual things for your child hero. So fun stuff. I mean, we just looked at one background. There's a ton of backgrounds in here. And then you get spells. So we're going to look at a couple spells here. This first one, Ancient Guise. It's the 4th level. 1 action. Range of self, concentration up to 10 minutes. Your skin turns to leathery scales as your teeth sharpen to deadly points, and hook-like claws tear their way from the tops of your feet. This transformation lasts until the spell ends and does not impact your ability to cast other spells. While you're transformed, you gain the following benefits. Your base AC becomes 13 plus your wisdom modifier. You have a proficiency when making unarmed strikes with your teeth or claws. You have advantage on attack rolls made against a creature if at least one of your allies is within 5 feet of the creature and that ally isn't incapacitated. If you move at least 20 feet straight toward a creature and then hit it with your claws on the same turn, that target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. So yeah, some fun sort of hearkening back to some sort of pre, or like Neanderthal-like ancestor, but it's more of like a lizard-like scaly ancestor, so that could be cool. And then you've got bioluminescence. It's a transmutation cantrip, an action, range of self, lasts an hour. You trace a symbol down your chest and your skin erupts into a bright bioluminescent pattern. Until the spell ends, you shed bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for an additional 10 feet. The light can be colored in any way that you like and can be in any static pattern that you want on your body. You may dismiss the spell as an action. So that could be a fun way to bring some light to the area. But I mean, there's tons of spells in here. I mean, you can read them all. They're so kind of them to let you read the entire book in the preview. You got feats, everything. Wonderful. Tons of feats. I mean, this is packed full of stuff for only $15.99. You're going to get 120 pages of content. So many archetypes, 44 of those, 94 spells, 13 backgrounds, 34 feats. I mean, this is a no-brainer purchase. So look for it under Visions of the Oracle player options for 5e in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have War Over the Collective by Kevin Glussing and Names Games and Samurai Sheepdog, and it is 24 pages. And it says, for years, the collective has traversed the multiple realities known as the Shattered Worlds. They have archived, researched, and incorporated many hundreds of people's teachings, magics, and other less savory things into their being as they fought against the chaos that threatened to destroy everything. They never expected to find themselves fighting against many of those same refugees. In the blink of an eye, a titan assaulted the original Grand Lane, a pathway that connects all realities. like the trunk of an interdimensional tree, and tried to take control of it for reasons unknown. Now the collective faces civil war as its denizens choose sides in a conflict for which they were never prepared. So this includes different ancestries and classes. So you get Accelerus, where you run really fast. You get Otterlings, which are like otter folk, rabbit folk. Golemites, which is a class that constructs. It says is a class is to constructs as druids are to wild shaping. I'm guessing you transform into constructs. And then there's the Heralds of Emotion, one of the first independent orders to sign on to help the collective were the Heralds of Emotion, whose powers can create constructs out of living light. Then you also get alignments by aspect, a new take on the alignment that focuses on the realms of magic. And then character-driven mass combat, a 2-page system-free way to translate your character's abilities into leadership talent to lead an army. So that could be really fun and useful. So you can see 3 races. It looks like multiple classes and some powers, and then you get those optional rules like the alignment change and the character-driven mass combat. So you get to see 6 pages, so you get to see several things, including there's a new item in the midst of this one, the 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙬𝙬. So it says, with the introduction of the realms of magic, many peculiar races have found their way into the shattered worlds. One such people is the 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙬, sentient skeletons who come into existence without having previously been a living creature. They are, in essence, a new soul living within a desiccated body. While undead by any stretch of the imagination, the 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙬 still seek to find a place in the societies of the living. Such endeavors are met with varied levels of success and failure. So they have self-care. You don't need to sleep, but if you don't spend at least 6 consecutive hours recuperating each day, your body decays at twice normal rate. They have dark vision, living dead. Unlike true undead, you can be affected by most magic as if you are human, and you still have to breathe, eat, and drink. You can also be resurrected normally. Undead traits. You have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, and you have resistance to poison damage. You do not have to sleep, but you must still take long rests. You are immune to disease. It says 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙬 have a number of heritages that help define who they are. So this would be like your subrace. Desiccated, gem spine, mummified, steel bone, true skeleton. So for mummified, your bones were at one time preserved and intended for safekeeping using ancient rites that allow you to recall some of your past life. Choose a background you don't already have. You gain the background's personality trait, flaw, feature, and 1 proficiency. So that's a cool way to use backgrounds and make them have a use beyond just taking a background. I like that. And then you get there's some feats associated, and then a new item. So the 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙬 manual. It's very rare. This tome contains information and incantations necessary to create a 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙬. To decipher and use the manual, you must be a spellcaster with at least animate dead. A creature that can't use the 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 manual and attempts to read it takes psychic damage. To create a 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬, you must choose a heritage and spend at least 30 days working without interruption with the manual at hand and resting no more than 8 hours per day. You must also pay to purchase supplies. Once you finish creating 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬, the book is consumed by deathly shadows. 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 becomes animate when you or a creature you designate dies. The animating creature's memories are lost, but it may retain bits of personality beliefs. So you can like set up that somebody will take on this, which is this race, but it's essentially like a lineage in terms of 5e, which is really cool. I love that. Yeah, so you can read about the Accelerist a little bit here. You can read about the rabbit folk, the otterlings. So you get to read about all the races and a little bit of the class. I think you should check it out. I mean, this is really cool stuff. I also like a lot of the lore that's being weaved in. I want to know more about that stuff. So fun stuff, good price. I mean, it's on sale for $3.75 instead of $5. You get a lot of material for that. So check it out. It's under War Over the Collective in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Winter's Feast from the Merciless Merchants, $6. And it's by author Malrex. Malrex. And it says, starvation is upon 2 barbarian clans. Hope for survival rides on the scouts reporting of sighting a dead Suliphagus, a colossal eye swarm. Hunting bands are set out to collect meat for survival, but none have returned. You have been tasked to find them and bring back meat for the clan to survive the winter. But winter has been harsh and merciless this year, and other humanoids are rushing for the food source. And how did this giant worm die? What lays below the glacier of the mammoth? It's an OSR adventure for levels 5 to 9. So you can probably convert this if you wanted to some other system. But yeah, it looks really cool. You've got the introduction, and I love the font and the feel of this. It just takes me back to first edition and basic and stuff. But yeah, you can see very detailed adventure with lots of information. So here is an item that they include in the middle here, Totem of Manifest. This 3-inch totem is carved entirely of ivory from a mammoth's tusk. The top is shaped as a strange star with a half crescent moon near the top, and the bottom has 4 embedded black pearls. The totem has a silver pin and may be attached to a cloak or robe. When concentrated on for a full round, the Totem of Manifest creates an imposing presence upon the wearer, causing viewers to focus on the wearer with their full attention for 1 full turn, unless a saving throw versus spells is made. The totem is similar to the Enthrall spell. The wearer gains the effects of having an 18 charisma, and the wearer's voice becomes 2 times louder. Viewers attacked immediately snap out of it and can defend themselves, and any aggressive action provides a saving throw for other viewers each round. So yeah, you can manipulate how people perceive you or someone else with that. Yeah, fun stuff. I mean, you're getting to see the whole book in this preview, which is great. So they have some other items in here as well as you're going through. New monsters like the Borealisk, the Cryoptera, and then it looks like they've got subadults and pupas and different things going on with some of these. Ice trolls. Here's your ice viper, snow eels, and then maps at the end. Yeah, this gives you such a cool old school feel. You know, it's fun to go back and feel like you were playing one of those older, during one of those older times when the game was newer. Yeah, so I definitely recommend playing OSR at some point if you haven't played it, just to get an experience that's different and some perspective. But it says, starvation, billowing cold fingers of wind knife its way through tattered furs, ravaging and stealing the warmth that embraces bodies. Speech and breath only invite frozen crystals to form inside the throat and chest. Grim tidings occur on the glacier of the Mammoth for 2 Valoran tribes, the Elk and the Cave Bear clans. These rugged barbarians were too late to leave the glacier through the mountain passes as the hunting remained bountiful and got trapped by the swift approach of winter snow and ice. Only the fittest could survive the journey through the mountains, which would leave half the clan behind for the journey and would kill them. Therefore, meager camps have been set near the shore of a half-frozen lake as they cling to survival against the merciless elements, even fighting each other for scarce resources. A minor earthquake brought it further dread, with avalanches and shifting glaciers, but it quickly passed. Perhaps it was an omen, as the next day morale greatly improved as one small band of hunters reported the earthquake was caused by a Solophagus. The rare Solophagus, or colossal ice worm, had emerged to the surface and rammed itself at high speed against a wall of mountain granite for unknown reason, effectively killing itself. Potentially tons and tons of meat are readily available for the taking. So they were going to survive because of this weird ice worm. The party has stumbled upon or are part of either the Elk clan or the Cave Bear clans. Both clans are at odds with each other due to the dwindling resources and have raided each other to survive. The party is tasked to determine the location of the hunters, find the Solophagus, and bring back meat for the clan for surviving winter. So yeah, it could be really cool to go through this and this sort of Arctic situation. There's a bunch of hooks. I mean, this has got a lot of information to prepare you as a DM. I feel like you're going to have everything you need on the page. You're not going to have to go scrounging around to find, oh, I need a stat block for this or a stat block for that. It looks like they're going to have all that information for you. Yes, it's for OSR, so you might have to convert it if you're playing 5th edition. But even still, I think that's great. We need all kinds of adventures, all kinds of stuff for all the editions of the game so that you can mix and match and try different things out. It's exciting to see this adventure. It's so much detail in there, and I love that you can read the whole thing before you purchase. So check it out. It's under Winter's Feast in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Zobeck Clockwork City from Kobold Games, or Kobold Press, I should say. And it's got a lot of authors, including Wolfgang Barr, Mike Frank, James Heck, Ben McFarlane, Richard Pett, Christina Stiles, Matthew Stinson. My apologies if I mispronounced any of those, but Kobold Press is just awesome. They do such good stuff. I just got a couple of their books in hardcover, arrived yesterday. It was so exciting. I opened those and put them right on my shelf, and they look so good. Because I really love their settings and some of the things that they get up to. And it's $24.99 for 305 pages. And they announced this week, with all the OGL stuff going on, that they're going to create their own fantasy core role-playing game. So I'm super excited about that. I'm signing up for the playtest and hoping I can participate, because we might even publish at Splinterverse Media some content for that system, because it's bound to be good if Kobold is on it. So really, really excited for that. Anyway, on to this book. So it says, Adventures in the Crossroads City. From the lofty towers of the Collegium to the dangerous underbelly of the city, this is Zobeck, the thriving heart of Midgard. Built on clockwork, ingenuity, and cutthroat politics, opportunities abound for everyone. From rulers to refugees, everyone in Zobeck seeks something amid its bustling streets. Bring the Crossroads City to life in your 5th edition campaign, explore its districts, and chase golden dreams through City Hall, Dark Alley, and Fetid Sewer. Let us give you the tour. There's descriptions of Zobeck's adventure-ready locales, from the bustling dock district to the notorious Kobold Ghetto. A slew of NPCs from influential guilds, infamous gangs, and ambitious scholars ready to challenge or aid player characters. You get a new Clockwork Arcane tradition, so a good subclass there. You get magic items like the Bag of Traps, the Chronomancer's Pocket Clock, and the Red Lady's Scalpel. You get some new character backgrounds, mounts, and feats specifically designed for humans in the Gearforged, plus 14 adventures ranging from 1st to 11th level. Perfect to standalone quests or played in sequence as a campaign. So, and it combines some older books, the Zobeck Gazetteer and the Streets of Zobeck, with enhanced content. So really, really cool. I mean, Midgard is just a fun setting. I always love it. And I mean, the artwork, look at this cover. That's so cool. Let's look inside. And you can see this artwork continues throughout with the clockwork stuff as well. So you get the history, you get the overview of the city, the government, the districts and locations, the guilds, gangs, denizens, gods, cults, and relics, magic, and then heroes, and then the streets, information on all the little areas, as well as adventures. I mean, having this many adventures on hand for a location is so cool. I love it. And this artwork is so beautiful. You can show it to players when it fits this whatever scene you're trying to depict. So yeah, it goes into what is Zobeck and then a history of it here. So we're just scratching the surface in this preview, but I mean, that's so cool. I love this canal running through the city here. So it says it stands proud at the crossroads of the world. It's a city where adventurers, merchants, and scoundrels from all walks of life and all nations intermingle. It is a city where wondrous inventions are dreamt and great tales of glory begin. For it is the boiling cauldron in which Midgard's most potent minds, its largest personalities, and its most inflated egos are mixed together. Yet no more than a century ago, the people of Zobeck lacked the freedom they enjoy today. In those days, they toiled and suffered to fill the coffers of House Strauss, their feudal rulers. Everything changed when the people took up arms against the plutocrats of House Strauss and threw off the shackles of tyranny. In the intervening decades, the few remaining aristocratic houses have fallen away, their hereditary lines replaced by merchants and elected officials. While the local aristocracy raged against the Great Revolt, the surrounding nations believed an independent Zobeck might prove useful as a useful pawn in their political machinations. A city-state without a lord, they figured, would be too weak to prove a nuisance. They agreed that so long as Zobeck remained neutral in the affairs of its betters, its neighbors would allow it to live on in sufferance. The people of Zobeck had other plans, though. They ignored by its haughty neighbors. The free city rose like a phoenix from the ashes of the revolt. The flames of freedom heated its forges, and Zobeck's citizens transformed their city into a hotbed of innovation. Guided by the Free City Council, new social and political structures were born, aided by the hand of Rava, the gear goddess. New machines of steam and brass were forged. In a short 9 decades, the citizens of Zobeck have transformed their sleepy fiefdom into a city-state with the power to effect change across Midgard. So what a rich history of this place. I mean, it was just hard work to be there, and then they kind of got freedom, but it was tenuous, and it was like, okay, we'll let it kind of be on its own without a lord over it. And then they sort of just said, you know what, we're going to make our own way, we're going to build all this clockwork stuff, and we're going to just be a shining example of what people can be. And so now they have this huge influence, and probably this clockwork is protecting them from maybe people that are going to try to take over and dominate it again. So fun stuff in here. I think you really can't go wrong with Kobold settings and things that they're up to. And I do hope you look for their Project Black Flag, which is their new system that they're going to be releasing, because we do need to support that and join the playtest and all that good stuff. Because we need options out there in addition to Dungeons and Dragons. And to me, Black Flag is one of the most promising alternatives that are coming down the pipeline. So you want to be there in the beginning and check it out. Plus, look at this awesome book. I mean, look at what is happening on this cover. You've got this clockwork character battling. I mean, there's magic happening. There's a kobold. I mean, all sorts of stuff going on. And that's just on the cover. So I can only imagine all the fun that awaits you inside with the backgrounds, the new subclass, the magic items, and the adventures. I mean, so many adventures, 14 of them, first to 14th or first to 11th level. I mean, that's going to keep you busy and give you lots of options, all for $24.99. So look for it in the video description links under Zobeck, Clockwork City, and give it a click. All right, that was our last new release. But before you go, I want you to hear about our discount for next week. So at Splinterverse on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're going to have a discount for you. And it is for the Magic Item Menagerie Volume 3. And it's by Peter Caramico and Animancy Press. And it's got 25 mystery-provoking, must-have magic items for DMs and players alike. It includes mirrors, orbs, animal handling accessories, clothing, items, spell foci, and armor, and a bonus cantrip. So tons of stuff. It's normally $5. It's not going to be $5. We're going to have a good deal for you. And this one is, I believe, limited to the number of purchases. I'm going to have to double check, but I think so. So you're going to want to make sure that you're following us at those locations, and Monday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, taking advantage of this discount before it's gone, because there's going to be limited number of purchases, I believe, with this, and you want to snatch it up before you miss out. So we'll give you more details on it next week. But thanks so much for watching and being part of the Splinterverse. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. I'll respond to all comments personally. Like the video for the algorithm. Turn on that bell icon if you want to be notified when we release a new video, and share the video out there. That really helps us reach more eyeballs for all the creators we talked about this week. Please look at those links in the video description and consider purchasing and supporting all these awesome creators. They're depending on you, and we want to, especially at this time with all the OGL stuff going on, we want to support these creators and let them know that we're behind them, and that we believe in their work, and we appreciate their work. And I also have a video I just released earlier this week on the OGL and some suggestions for wizards. So if you're curious about that, you can look for it on my channel and Splinterverse on YouTube. But, you know, like I said, click those links, support these creators. And if you purchase anything after you click those links, you're going to help support the channel. So if you're thinking about shopping on DM's Guild or DriveThruRPG, if you can click one of our links first, that's really going to help us with a small affiliate fee, and we greatly appreciate that. So thank you. You can also support us through our products. We have 7 books we've released. You can find out about all of them on splinterverse.com or in the links in the video description, including our latest Dragonlance companion. So thanks again for watching. If you're a creator out there, hang in there. I know it's tough days right now with the OGL stuff, but I'm really inspired by all the support from the community. Things will settle down. Eventually we'll have answers. We'll know what the path forward is to continue creating. And just take this time to be inspired by your community and how galvanized everyone is to make sure things are correct and handled properly. Wizards is going to be releasing the new OGL, and they're going to be asking for feedback, so be sure to give feedback and don't be shy. If there's something that is an absolute non-starter, tell them, and if they ignore that, that's to their peril. They really should recognize that they're not going to be what they are without us, and accept that. So hopefully we'll see some improvements, but there's things like Project Black Flag out there if we don't. So just stay involved, stay inspired, and hang in there. We're in this together. We're gonna get through it. All right, thank you so much everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you stick around in the Splinterverse with me. And until next time, happy adventuring.